The Nightfarers are an interesting group not just because of their individual stories, but because they are FromSoft's first attempt at creating a playable ensemble cast who build up a rapport with each other. We're so used to playing blank slate characters in our favorite Souls games, where we can impart on them the story we like. But that's not the case with these warriors. This eclectic group has been called across time for a single purpose: the eradication of the Night Lord and the restoration of the lands between. But as those who follow the channel know, each of them have their own goals in mind as well. The Nightfarers are the heart of Elden Ring Nightreign, and uncovering their stories piece by piece, victory after victory, is one of the most rewarding experiences the game has to offer. With that said, we've gathered these stories together into a compilation that attempts to uncover the unspoken details and lay bare the truths of each character. If you've enjoyed any of our videos, please consider joining our Patreon for early access, a peek behind the scenes, and ad-free content. Now that that's out of the way, please enjoy the stories of every Nightfarer in Elden Ring Nightreign. The Nightfarers each reach the Round Table Hold in their own way, but the Wylder is the one we get to follow as he takes his first steps into this fleeting place. Arriving injured regardless of how well we perform our first trek through Limveld, he, like all the other Nightfarers, has no true recollection of his past, only fading images shrouded by the rain. During his Remembrance quest, we peel back the layers of the poster boy of Elden Ring Nightreign, and as expected of FromSoft, the story told is one of strength, mystery, and of course, tragedy. This will be the first of our series on the Nightfarers, where I tell their stories both directly from their journals and with the context of the missions we complete, in order to learn the whole truth behind their motivations and their ultimate fate as they explore Limveld. Today, we tell the tale of the Wylder. Upon entering the Round Table Hold, the Wylder is greeted by the Priestess, an enigmatic character who will come to be deeply intertwined with the Wylder's personal journey. But for now, she simply acts as our guide, and explains what it is he will be doing, now that he's found his way to the Round Table.
You are awake. I know not why, but once again it has happened. So be it. Condemned, I welcome you to the Round Table Hold. I am the Priestess, the voice of your formless master. You were chosen for your potential to vanquish the night. The Night Lord is a living cataclysm, bent on laying waste to the very land that anchors us. Unless we bring its end, our world will be undone. And for this, I need your help.
After successfully completing his first trip through Limveld and felling a Night Lord, the Priestess reveals herself to be the Duchess, a fellow Nightfarer, ready to once again join the fray and put her talents to use fighting back against the Night. With this, the pieces are in place. The Wylder departed from his faraway home, braving the sea of fog to reach Limveld. A Nightfarer's forays wither the soul and cloud recollection, causing one night to bleed into the next. But of one thing he remained certain: that he must track down the Night Lord and bury it. There was no choice. He repeated the words to himself, all the while clenching a precious object in his hand. A solitary earring, its counterpart long lost. In a corner of the Round Table Hold, light shines in through the ceiling to a dimly lit room. There stood the Wylder, holding the solitary earring up to the light, casting a pattern on the wall that he could not comprehend. The Wylder was sure that it was some word, or perhaps a phrase, but he could not recall it. Where had he misplaced the earring? If he only had its counterpart. Surely the meaning could be divined. It seems as the Wylder sits with his thoughts, trying to pull something far away from deep within his shrouded memory. A part of him begins to awaken, if only in his dreams. He dreamt of his home, 2 horses galloping across Windwhale Knoll. They were a healthy pair of twins, which was rare. To the Wylder and to someone, the horses were special. Upon a hill they ran abreast. He looked at her, hair dancing in the wind, and saw the earring on her left ear, but he could not recall a face. "My Lord Wylder, how are you today?" The voice of the Iron Menial awakened him. Time for another errand, no doubt.
Wylder, I have a boon to ask of you. Would it be possible for you to procure me a whetstone? Consider it my inviolable duty to keep everyone's armaments in tip-top shape. But I'm afraid there's very little life left in the stone I have here. You have a discerning eye, do you not? Would you be willing to hunt one down for me? Simply marvelous. I advise you to make your way to the mining tunnel. The underground passageways are sure to contain ore suitable for metalwork. There are whetstones to be found there, I'm certain.
The Wylder then ventures out into Limveld, allowing the task at hand to distract him from his musings, letting himself fall into the rhythm of battle, which he's so keenly attuned to. Upon returning to the hold with his prize, he is offered a choice of reward.
I'm very sorry, but that belongs to the priestess. Anything else? Oh, you merely wish to borrow it. Very well. But once you're finished, be certain to return it to her.
This mended earring resonates with the Wylder. Something about it is deeply familiar. He decides to pass it through the light, just as he does for his own. 2 horses gallop side by side. May the wind spur us on our path. After finding something that had been lost to him, he returns the earring to the Duchess.
What's this? It must be repaired already. That barely took any time at all. Thank you for fetching it. This is a thing of great value to me. A compass that will lead me to someone dear. I suppose you're thinking that earrings normally come in pairs. Oh, forgive me. I've likely talked your ear off. We must prepare for the next battle.
Clutching the now solitary earring, the Wylder drifted off into sleep. The sun was setting on Windwhale Knoll, and as if in deference to its name, a gale howled. The dreaded winter was approaching. By the time of the first frost, he knew that his sister would be far along her journey. The Wylder fell silent, and she, flashing her signature smile, flicked her earring with her finger. "Goodbye for now, dear brother. Once we're done, we'll meet again." He could not remember her name, but he always remembered these parting words. The memory of his sister had returned, but what could he do knowing that she did not remember him? The Wylder continued to fight, never mentioning his younger sister. There was no way forward except to soldier through the war at hand. He returned to the Round Table that day to discover a note from the Iron Menial. "I've considered what might explain your singular obsession with that earring. Then it came to me. The 2 of you possess a striking likeness. So much so that I simply cannot deny it. There is something that you must know. Please check the study." The Iron Menial, who at this point must have been like a friendly presence to the Wylder, led him to the study, and it was there that a great truth was revealed. The priestess, mouthpiece of the formless master, rooted to the Round Table, she must share its fate. What could this mean? Perhaps the crypt mentioned in the study's many tomes held the answer. He had to know.
Yes, the crypt is filled with the ancient people of these lands. I still remember looking after them long, long ago. As you know, mortality does not apply to those such as myself. These souls were laid to rest here in anticipation of the threat we now face, in a ritual required to draw the minds of their descendants here. Brave champion, there is something that you should know. The priestess was here long before the rest of you. Indeed, she is held captive by the Round Table itself.
The truths revealed by this place were many. The Wylder's very ancestors were laid to rest at the Round Table, making it the fate of both him and his sister to face the long night, and tying her very being to the table itself. He had to speak with her.
What is it? You can tell me. So, dear caretaker let the cat out the bag. It's true. I'm imprisoned by the Round Table Hold. Far from an architect of this scheme, I am merely another condemned. You may find it amusing, but it is the truth. Once we're done, it will be goodbye.
With so much now dancing on the edges of his mind, the Wylder drifted off to sleep. But it was not to be a restful one. The Wylder had the same dream time and time again. A long night persists, driving his clansfolk to madness. After a horrific battle, all that remains upon Windwale Knoll is a sea of gravestones. After the deaths of his cousin, Farhad, little Shirin, and his own father, the clan's chieftain, the Wylder discovers that only he remains. And now only he can avenge his clan. Only he can bring an end to the night. But even if he can...
Once we're done, it will be goodbye.
Even if the night were extinguished, the twin horses will never gallop beside one another again. The Wylder continued to fight against the night, becoming more desperate as he felled the lords before him. He took to sleeping alongside his blade. Holding his greatsword, the Wylder drifted off to sleep. Out of nowhere he heard the rustle of cloth, then the clink of something being placed on the table. The Wylder awoke and slowly sat up. As he explored outside the sleeping quarters, he found a small key with a note from the Iron Menial. It seems as though their interests aligned. He remembered a chest outside the crypt, and within it was a scrap of paper outlining something called the New Night. The priestess is the cornerstone of the Round Table, indispensable. Should the Night Lord fall, the Round Table too will crumble, as their fates are together bound. Yet should the Round Table be remade, perhaps the priestess may be emancipated from her bindings. This might be done upon the falling of the New Night, should the Lord's power be lost. And if so, what was this New Night? He decided to speak with his companion, one who knew more about the night than any could know, the Recluse.
Does the idea of leaving the priestess behind trouble thee? What a tender soul thou art. In that case, I have knowledge I would relay. Seek thee a tear of silver, but the road will be one of hardship. All the same, I wish thee good fortune, for the fortitude required is a rare thing indeed.
His path clear, the Wylder fought his way through Noclateo, the shrouded city, until finding his prize. It was guarded by a mimic of a headless troll. However, he was able to dispatch this abomination with ease, and return to the table.
My heartfelt commendations. By thy look, I presume thou hast found one. It shan't be long now.
I see you have procured your prize. Excellent. I would do anything, if it means we might save her. Blame me for putting you in this position if you will, but I leave her fate in your hands.
His friends had decided to allow him the final say in what would happen next. The silver tear he grasped gently throbbed. The Wylder discovered a familiar brooch by his belongings. In his tribe, when one warrior gave such a gift to another, it was a promise to ever fight side by side, whether separated by land or sea. Did his younger sister remember such customs? He pinned the brooch to his coat, as was their practice, and gently placed his hand upon it. Once we're done, it'll be goodbye. He knew the twin horses would never run free again, as once they did, side by side. But perhaps just one could gallop onward. All that was left for the Wylder was to put an end to the true Night Lord. And so alongside his fellow Nightfarers, he faced the aspect of night, Wylder the Night Lord. And upon their victory, his companions celebrated. But the Wylder's mission was not yet complete. After a time, a new Night Lord came to be. The Round Table Hold, spared from annihilation, would be formed anew, in preparation for a new night. But would it be enough to free the priestess? He would never know. The Night Lord lumbered on, indifferent to whether or not the twin horses would ever ride again. The Wylder sacrificed himself for the Duchess, choosing to bring a new night so that she might have a chance at freedom. Using the larval tear, he took on the mantle of Night Lord and doomed himself to wander at the edge of reality, prepared to do battle with all who would cross his path. The memories that drove him to this selfless decision were now all but gone. He was no longer himself. A terrible fate for a kind soul and loving brother. Much like in the days of Dark Souls, the cycle will repeat itself with a new Night Lord continuing the reign. Perhaps now new champions will arise to face this new night. But with any luck, by then the Duchess will have found a way to separate herself from the Round Table, and her brother's sacrifice will not have been in vain. Perhaps the new playable characters promised by FromSoft will have some bearing on this course of events, but only time will tell. Thank you for joining me for the story of the Wylder. Normally I present you with some questions about the lore of the character, but given Nightreign's less obtuse storytelling, I think it's better to simply ask, what do you think of the Wylder and his quest to save his sister? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Watch that button light up as I ask you to like this video, and don't forget to subscribe, hit the bell, and set notifications to all so you never miss out on any of our lore dives. We look forward to seeing you again for more Elden lore. Every FromSoft game has a maiden that helps you understand your place in the events that are to follow. Typically, this companion will also help you increase your level as you move through the world. With the Maiden in Black, Firekeepers, and the Doll, there's a central hub where they help you turn souls and blood into strength. But Elden Ring bucked this tradition with Melina, who channeled your runes into strength until she decided to grant this power to you. This means that anyone who makes their way through the lands between could potentially tap into the true power of runes, should they be gifted the ability to do so. and that's important when we discuss Nightreign, as it seems every Nightfarer can strengthen themselves as they move through Limfeld. With this in mind, the role of the priestess is strictly that of a guide, at least until we help her regain her true strength. At that point, we meet her true self, the Duchess, and she fights alongside us against the Night. Today, we explore who the Duchess is, her role at the table, and her conviction in protecting someone dear to her. Upon entering the Round Table Hold, the Duchess will explain to you why you have come to this place, and much like her predecessors, she will do her best to explain, however cryptically, what your role is to be as a Nightfarer.
You are awake. I know not why, but once again it has happened. So be it. Condemned, I welcome you to the Round Table Hold. I am the priestess, the voice of your formless master. You were chosen for your potential to vanquish the Night. The Night Lord is a living cataclysm, bent on laying waste to the very land that anchors us. Unless we bring its end, our world will be undone. And for this, I need your help.
Until we defeat our first Night Lord, the Duchess will say the same thing time and again.
Seekers of redemption. On the third night, this land will fall. Band together and prepare to claim the life of the Night Lord. That is all.
However, upon defeating Gladius, Beast of the Night, we receive the old pocket watch. A well-kept antique pocket watch engraved with an intricate design, likely a prized possession. The influence of the encroaching night clung to the expecting woman, preventing her from ever giving birth. The only means to break it meant the sacrifice of her life. But the curse of night lived on, in both the orphan and in this keepsake, whose hands tell only twisted time. The dark power is both a badge of lost innocence, and the very thing that allows its owner to fight back. This item has a direct relationship to the Night Lord, but that's a story for another time. For now, all we need to know is that with this watch, the priestess can shed her cloak and join the fray, using her true strength and skill alongside those she was meant to guide. If you watched last week's video about the Wylder, you know that we learned the Duchess had a purpose far from home, and that she left their homeland in order to see it fulfilled. It seems before she left, she received a letter from the Iron Menial. We have awaited your arrival with great anticipation. As priestess, you shall guide the Round Table Hold to victory over the Night Lord. I was chosen to assist you in whatever way I can. The garden is graced with beautiful flowers, and the study filled with rare books, new and old, by all manner of authors on every subject fathomable. If I may ask, what are your preferences for meals? I will serve whatever you wish. One last thing. Perhaps you'd be amicable to a change of attire. You are a righteous thief no longer. Now you are the honorable priestess of the Hold. This letter helps us better understand the Duchess as she was before accepting her ultimate responsibility. She was a righteous thief, which I take to mean she was a Robin Hood type, taking from those with plenty to spare in order to keep her own family and tribe afloat. We know from the Virtuous Thief's Key that she trained as a thief under the Viscount of Windwale Knoll, Gillian, her patron. Her dagger tells us even more about this time in her life. A dagger carried by the Duchess, known to symbolize the virtue of her family. Though she was not born into her adopted house, she was welcomed into it with open arms, and though unrelated by blood, the nobility and righteousness of her clan took root within her heart. The Duchess is the adopted daughter of her tribe, but she was always seen as family. A letter from the Iron Menial written after the Wylder was summoned to the Round Table Hold. I trust that our newly welcomed champion has had a moment to gain his bearings. He appears to have sustained injuries in the outside world before he was drawn here. Rest assured, I will make certain that he is properly cared for. In any case, I'm delighted to welcome a new Nightfarer to our family. He seems to be the master of a very large sword. No doubt he will make good use of it in our campaign against the Night. After the arrival of this new, but familiar ally, life at the Round Table Hold continued as normal. The Nightfarers pushed back the Night, and the Duchess guided them, having the daily needs of herself and her compatriots tended to by her animated compatriot. A routine letter from the Iron Menial concerning everyday affairs. Baking the bread you requested is proving to be more difficult than expected. I've recruited the Raider to assess the results of my trials, and surely this will help me approach your specifications. Which reminds me, the Raider said he wishes to speak to you about something. Perhaps you might pay him a visit. The Raider seems to have concerns about the Wylder's well-being, and asks that you check on him if you have the chance.
You have a moment. Something's been troubling me. Maybe you could help. It's the lad with the great sword. He seems off. Just stares into the distance when I talk to him. I have an inkling the constant combat might be taking its toll. Maybe you'd have better luck than me if you tried to get him to talk.
Well, I take it you need something. Come back once I finish mending my tools. All right?
So, how was he? Not looking good, I take it. Times like these, finding something simple to focus on can help clear the mind. Maybe you could get him something to tune up his weaponry. Keeping a trusted tool in top condition always makes me feel better, for one.
In order to raise the Wylder spirits, the Raider believes we need to bring him something to keep his sword in tip-top shape, sharper and ever more ready to face the Night. So it is that the Duchess tracks down Golden Dew, a material known to strengthen and reinforce armaments, and brings it to her companion.
I can use that, but where did you learn it works for weapon care? Did I? Well, not that it matters. Here you go. A token of thanks.
The Wylder, to show his thanks, gives the Duchess some iron coins from a faraway land. A nomadic tribe used these coins in trades with settled tribes to purchase supplies to support their isolated lifestyle. These coins, produced from the Wylder's pocket, are icily cold. She then speaks with the Raider.
Managed to help our friend, did you? Oh, thanks. I like a woman who wants to pitch in. Let's see how things are going to play out before we meddle any further. And pray the passage of time does our work for us. One more thing. The doll's looking for you. Go and see her.
There you are. Forgive me, but I didn't want anyone to overhear. The Wylder won't remain among the living much longer. The vitality in him is all too little. All that's left is the lees. In this form, I am attuned to life's ebb and flow. As the Round Table's custodian, you must decide on the proper course of action. It is your choice whether to allow him to continue fighting.
It seems the Wylder's very life force ebbs and flows, teetering on both death and life. The Duchess speaks with the Iron Menial to see what can be done.
His vitality ebbs low, does it? There is no cause for concern. He is yet able to fight. However, should we accomplish our great mission and cast down the Night Lord, he will depart this life. Even so, we must continue to walk our path. That is your ultimate desire, is it not?
He confirms the Revenant's suspicions. Should we defeat the Night Lord and banish the Night, the Wylder will die. A letter from the Iron Menial that appears to have been written several times. I know you are worried for the Wylder, but such things happen more than you might imagine. It appears that the injuries he sustained in the outside world before his arrival here have made him terribly weak. If we should defeat the Night Lord, as we yearn to do, I am afraid the Wylder may not return alive, and yet we must carry on, as tragic as it is. A letter from the Iron Menial written in an anxious, scrawled script. My Lady Priestess, I am well aware of your grave concern for the Wylder. You should know that when I checked in on him, he appeared to be making preparations of a sort, and today he is nowhere to be seen. The Wylder's weakened constitution places him at risk. Please seek him out. He should be somewhere inside the Round Table hold. The Duchess searches frantically for the Wylder, feeling the pull of a connection she does not quite understand. She finds him asleep just outside the hold, with a plate of freshly baked pita bread next to him. The taste is a wistful reminder of childhood.
That's how we make it, back at home. Good, right? I'm glad you like it, have as much as you want. I made more than I need. My mother taught me the recipe. It keeps well and won't leave you hungry. Just something I like to do. To remember, and to clear my mind.
By inspecting this bread, we learn the Duchess's thoughts on the meal. Flat bread with a rich aroma offered by the Wylder, the traditional food of a nomadic tribe from a distant, vast grassland, passed down from mother to son. I know this, the gently sweet and salty flavor of this pita.
Is something the matter, my lady? I see. The Wylder cooked up something that reminded you of your childhood. Now, I don't suppose... Well, unless... Who provided you with the food in question? Oh, then the two of you must be... I am in disbelief. It's nothing short of a miracle. Now, though this is by no means bad news, I must press upon you. We are here to bring an end to the Night Lord. Do not let this revelation tempt you from the path.
This is the truth that's been dancing on the edges of the Duchess's mind since the Wylder found his way to the Round Table hold. He is the older brother she left behind in order to fulfill her duty as priestess of the table. And now she must ask herself, what's more important, her duty or the life of her brother? A letter from the Iron Menial written with even greater care than usual. Those who fare against the night find that even their most cherished memories eventually dissipate. It is nothing less than a miracle that you've restored your memories of your brother. I understand how concerned you must be for what lies ahead. But there's one thing we must never forget. We were beckoned here for one reason and one reason only, to bring an end to the Night Lord. Many among us are gravely concerned for you, my Lady Priestess, the Raider especially so. Perhaps you should lend him your ear. Before speaking with the Raider, the Duchess pays a visit to the Revenant, who waits to do battle with her. This fight is a test, an attempt by the Revenant to reaffirm the Duchess's strength and put a stop to her wavering. The Revenant's goal is to remind the Duchess that her top priority should be duty rather than family.
I yield. Do you see now? You are strong, and only the strong can wield true power. The weak have no such privilege, but with strength comes the burden of duty. Did it never occur to you that this is precisely why you are here? Take this, if you understand me. Now, not a word of this to anyone. You really don't hold back, do you? I was only trying to give you a nudge, and you practically ground me into the dust. Well, now I know where I stand in your eyes.
It seems the Raider can tell something is wrong, and once the Duchess confides in him all that she's learned, he has a story for her.
The two of you were brother and sister all along. Reminds me of an old tale, if you'll indulge me. I wasn't much of a pirate, but out at sea, every man who toiled by my side was my brother. There was this younger kid who looked up to me. Must have figured me for an older brother. Till one day, we had a falling out. Things got so bad, the sailors snuck off on land without saying a word. I didn't think much of it. Thought it was a bid for a little attention. But I never once saw the kid again. When you let your passions get the best of you, things have an awful way of going south. Keep your cool, lest you do anything you come to regret. All right, a neat lesson it might have been, but perhaps you'll glean something from it. Worry not, that's all I've in mind to teach right now. Thanks for letting me bend your ear.
The raider believes it's best not to rock the boat, but his protege, Weathervane, would likely have something much different to say, and so the Duchess set out to find the final message of the raider's old companion. The dying words of the apprentice Weathervane, addressed to a former mate. "Captain, I found a wind that carries me farther, faster." Weathervane's fascinations changed like the days of the week, to the chagrin of the single-minded crew. But not being one for regrets, the first mate was unperturbed by what others said, going by the self-appointed title of Apprentice of a Great Pirate. Weathervane found that dreams could come true, even if they might take a lifetime. No wonder she so cherished the wind.
Are you sure of this? Damned fool. Why not just tell me? The kid went out like a warrior. Not the bad way, all things considered. Thank you. I might never have known, and didn't expect to. That settles it. Now I'm sure. Take this, would you? You said you were on the fence. Well, my advice has changed. I say refuse the choice. Who says that when you choose one path, you forego the other? It's your journey. Take all the paths you like. I know you won't let it come to nothing. Take it from me. It'll be good as gold.
Weathervane's words resonate with the raider. He sees a future crafted by the Duchess, where she both fulfills her duty and saves her brother. Unlike the Revenant, this old sea dog is a true friend to the matron of the Round Table, and believes she can change fate itself through nothing more than her own conviction. A letter from the Iron Menial that was torn up and discarded without ever reaching its addressee. As you are well aware, my lady priestess, you are bound to the Round Table hold. But if the object were not born of flesh and blood, it could venture beyond the Round Table hold. But to make such a thing possible... The Duchess clutched the paper scraps in her hand, as if clinging to a fleeting dream. This letter was different from the others. It was found by the Duchess, not given to her. Over time, she's able to piece it back together. But to make such a thing possible, to connect to the Wylder in the outside world before he draws any closer to death, we require a fetish. Such a bond could be established if the object that he kept on his person was to receive a blessing. But the chances of success are slim indeed, and I cannot bear to think of leaving you, Lady Priestess, all alone. This was it, the way to save her brother. The Duchess could infuse a coin from their homeland, one given to her by the Wylder that originated outside of the Round Table, with a blessing that would keep the Wylder alive, safe after they defeated the Night Lord, together. She needed to speak with the Iron Menial, as well as her brother.
My Lady Priestess, finally you are here. When the Round Table's purpose is served, each sin is absolved, and everyone is sent back. The Round Table itself will become unmoored from the outside world. I suspect nothing of this place will remain, unless the impossible should occur. My lady, I shall accompany you till the very end. What have we here? Are you asking that I go to the Wylder? I must refuse. If I did, you would be left truly alone, my lady priestess. It is much too cruel. Much too cruel. Apologies for my petulance just now. I should respect your wishes. Of course. I will see the task is done.
I know. You don't need to tell me twice. It's the whole reason I'm here. I vow to slay the fiend with my own 2 hands.
It would seem that her skills as a thief came in handy once again, as she placed the fetish on the Wylder while he was none the wiser. While doing so, she also pickpocketed something for herself. A pin to keep her hair back, one in a style native to her homeland.
What's that you're sporting? Did you pinch it from the Wylder? That was hardly very becoming of you. Fine. I'll keep mum for now. You'll remain as extravagant as ever. Oh, most ambitious madam. I'll always remember that side of you.
The Duchess reclaimed her memories, and in doing so, wore a symbol of the bond she shared with her brother. Much like the Wylder is attempting to save his sister from the Night Lord, she herself is protecting him from a true death. A letter addressed to the Iron Menial. To a dear friend who has always been true, please follow the blessed bond and safeguard my brother's life. To this end, we must first lay the Night Lord to rest. We need not sacrifice one goal for the other. We can achieve both. My resolve no longer wavers, not while I am graced with this beret. The Duchess entrusts the life of her brother to the one who's been protecting and supporting her from the very start, the Iron Menial. She made it her last true request to ensure her brother's life is safeguarded, no matter the sacrifice she needs to make in defeating the Night Lord and disappearing alongside him. However, unbeknownst to the Duchess, the Iron Menial is not only helping her, but assisting the Wylder as well. Much like his mistress, the Iron Menial does not follow one path. He both attempts to save the Duchess while keeping his promise to safeguard the Wylder's life. But perhaps that's another story to dig into later. The Duchess has come to peace with forsaking herself if it means both her duty will be fulfilled and her brother will live. But maybe that doesn't have to be where her story ends. In truth, all she knows is that she found a way to preserve the life of someone she loves dearly, and even reclaim treasured memories of home. To her, this is enough. She can go to her grave knowing that she achieved both of her dreams, and helped to end the long night that plagues Limveld. But who knows if this is where the Duchess's story truly ends? Because if her brother manages to achieve his goals, maybe she can live a life free of the responsibilities that were thrust upon her. Thank you for joining me for the story of the Duchess. Did this woman's quest to protect her brother and end the long night resonate with you? Do you believe the Duchess was ever truly freed from the Round Table? Is there a world where she and the Raider take to the high seas, searching for adventure? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Watch that button light up as I ask you to like this video, and don't forget to subscribe, hit the bell, and set notifications to all, so you never miss out on any of our lore dives. We look forward to seeing you again for more Elden lore. The factions of the Lands Between are vast and numerous. In fact, we've covered all of them on the channel at one point or another. However, with many of the Nightfarers coming from far-off lands, Nightreign has introduced us to ever more players in this world. The Raider belongs to a pirate crew, one of presumably many. The Wylder and Duchess originate from a tribe of the Wind. And the topic of today's video, the Iron Eye, belongs to a group known as the Fellowship. that seemed to be contract assassins for hire. The tale of the Iron Eye plays out in the form of letters sent between himself and his handler, Isolde, even though Isolde will never read what the Iron Eye writes to her. This mysterious archer comes to the Round Table with his own motives, and the means to achieve them. He lends his assistance in the fight against the Night Lord, but when it comes down to it, he's not the altruistic sort. The Iron Eye is in this fight for himself, and the deeper we dive, the more we understand why. The Iron Eye is interesting for a number of reasons, but the first is that his remembrance doesn't quite start until chapter 4 of his journal. In our early hours playing the Iron Eye, our only goal is to push back against the Night, painting him as a one-note character. But in truth, he's anything but. Up until we can truly begin his quest, we can read letters sent to him at some point in the past by his handler, Isolde. Instructions sent from the Fellowship to the Iron Eye. Iron Eye, beloved child of the Fellowship, we have received word from Batyr that you have fulfilled your duty. Your compensation is on its way. Remain at your present location. A new, substantial task will soon be upon you, which will likely require journeying to the lands between. Details to follow. Of your custodian, Isolde. P.S. Please forget what I said the other day. It was pure balderdash, spoken in frustration. Instructions sent from the Fellowship to the Iron Eye. Iron Eye, beloved child of the Fellowship, I am certain you are aware of the destruction of the boarding house in the Duskin Valley. Root out the traitor and retire him. You can pick up his trail in the lands between. Standard protocol applies. The Fellowship will not involve itself. Traveling expenses, intelligence, and allies must all be procured as you work. Of your custodian, Isolde. In these two letters, we get an idea of how the Fellowship the Iron Eye belongs to operates. They send him assignments, the Iron Eye completes them without question, and he's provided with some level of compensation. The first letter feels sterilized and mechanical, aside from the afterthought provided by Isolde, which speaks to a deeper relationship between her and the Iron Eye. The exact nature of this relationship is never revealed, but I believe the only important thing here is that it is less formal, indicating they're not simply two cogs in a machine, but likely know each other on a more human level. The second letter tells us the true goal of the Iron Eye. He's not here to fight the Night Lord. He came to the lands between to track down a traitor to the Fellowship, one who destroyed a boarding house the Fellowship was utilizing. This could have been a simple safe house or storehouse, but given the severity of the reaction to its destruction, I believe it was a place where many of the Fellowship would gather. The traitor intended to burn bridges, and as we'll come to know, wanted the best of their order to track them down. A report written by the Iron Eye addressed to the Fellowship. Isolde, my custodian, I have no means to deliver this report, but here shall I record my progress. Following the traitor's trail has led me to the Round Table hold. I've made an ally who goes by the name of Priestess. There have been scant clues to find, but such is the way in this field of work. The work itself proceeds as usual. Iron Eye. This is the first time we see the Iron Eye writing to himself as if he was writing back to the Fellowship. I assume this was common practice for those unable to actually deliver their reports. Perhaps it was done to prove they were always on task, and they would be handed over all at once when they were once again able to make contact. Also, the Round Table hold is mentioned so casually, it leads me to believe the Fellowship is aware of its existence. Instructions sent from the Fellowship to the Iron Eye. Iron Eye, beloved child of the Fellowship. I believe you are familiar with the monster. It is clear now that his guardian has been slain long ago. It seems to have happened when the boarding house was destroyed in the Duskin Valley. There's a strong likelihood that the traitor to the Fellowship is indeed the monster. Take every precaution. He was raised by the Fellowship to be the centipedal scion he is, after all. Ever your custodian, Isolde. At this point, the Iron Eye is already at the Round Table, so I think it's fair to assume this letter from his handler was already in his possession at the time he came to this place. In fact, all future letters should be treated as if the Iron Eye already had them on his person. His target has the designated title, The Monster, and I believe this is the name given to him by the Fellowship when he was one of their blades. According to Isolde, he is incredibly dangerous and should not be taken lightly. An interesting detail I think we can glean from this is that members of the Fellowship seem to be given their names based on their skills. The Monster is clearly proficient at the general dealing of death, while Iron Eye has his talents with a bow that likely gave him his name. It's at this point he speaks with the Duchess about the traitor, and she enlightens him with what she knows, as well as addressing the nature of the Fellowship.
Oh, there you are. Now, about the traitor from your Fellowship, let us talk. Then you're good and ready. The Fellowship. That's the name of the mercenary outfit you belong to, is it not? You travel around the world, settling conflicts through clandestine acts, masters of assassination. As unsettling as your talents might seem to an outsider, in service to our cause, they are reassuring indeed. Then you're good and ready. The traitor you're after. It seems I too am involved in all of this. One of those summoned to the Round Table is said to have abandoned their duties, or so the voice has intimated. I was thinking of telling the others, but then you arrived, as if you had appeared to help me pursue the matter. The traitors of the Round Table and the Fellowship appear to be one and the same. Let's you and I get to the bottom of this. Then you're good and ready. I need you to eliminate a band of condemned. These condemned valiantly faced down the night, but ultimately failed and surrendered to the darkness. They are, in fact, us. Worse still, they multiply through their marriage to the night, spreading from one world to the next. We must stop them before it's too late. Ah, yes. As you may have surmised, versions of you from other worlds are found among their number, and we might just learn something from them. Best of luck.
It would seem that the traitor of the Fellowship has betrayed the Round Table as well, and the Duchess wants us to track down a group of condemned in order to end their fight for the night. This adds an extra layer to the invasions we encounter, as we learn they are actually us, the Nightfarers, versions of us from other universes, much in the way that we act as invaders in Elden Ring. The Iron Eye then needs to track down one of these villains himself, another of the Fellowship, though whether his mark is another version of the Iron Eye from a different universe, or possibly the monster himself, we can't say for sure. After defeating this shadow, we receive a letter from the traitor, which we can show to the priestess. She believes it best to bide our time for now, and when we read the letter for ourselves, it tells us it is an invitation from the traitor, sealed with the stamp of an assassin's contract. Inside the envelope, a single folded page contains a short message. When the Night Lord nears, meet at the Round Table. The monster was aware of a looming threat, and welcomed the assassin Iron Eye. It seems the traitor wishes to meet with us, and we'll have to fell another Night Lord to make that happen. After completing this remembrance, we also receive the cracked sealing wax, which gives us a better look at the Fellowship's seal. It appears to be a braided design, similar to many in the Lands Between. However, around this braid is the unmistakable symbol of destined death. When we also consider the monster was called centipedal, it starts to open some dark ideas as to what this Fellowship truly is. The description of the wax tells us it is sealing wax removed from an open letter, used by sellswords of the Fellowship. The stamp signifies an assassin's oath. Once a target is agreed upon, there's no going back. Such contracts are said to have their origin in the Lands Between. So the Order truly does trace its roots back to the Lands Between, to a time before the Shattering, perhaps even before Destined Death was removed from the ring. A report written by the Iron Eye addressed to the Fellowship. Isolde, my custodian. I've picked up the trail of the traitor, the monster. He's a brother of the Fellowship. The battle is sure to be drawn out, but I shall prevail. I will send a report once the deed is done. Iron Eye. P.S. I found a sealed missive amongst my effects. In accordance with protocol, I shall open it, unless advised otherwise, Master. We then read the contents of this letter before beginning our next remembrance. A blood-stained letter addressed to the Iron Eye. The scions of the Fellowship are fated to be disposed of once they play their part. Thus I had a dream. To wrest the power of the night and bend the rules which govern our realm. The scions raised would wander through an endless night, fighting on and on. A night that would never break, for their sake, I desired. But it is a dream most foolish. I should never have mentioned it to you. Free yourself of your misgivings, and walk the path in which you believe. Ever your custodian, Isolde. Isolde, it seems, has her own misgivings about their place in the Fellowship. I believe the dream she wrote to the Iron Eye about is what she was alluding to in her very first letter, though I doubt she went into this much detail. The way in which she says the scions of the Fellowship are fated to die once they outlive their usefulness leads me to believe this is not news to the Iron Eye. More like it's simply the way of things in their order, and Isolde has, for some reason, come to find this unacceptable, as she dreams of a world where she can bring back those the Order has disposed of. I can't say why this letter was drenched in blood. Perhaps she too defected before giving it to the Iron Eye. Perhaps the blood is hers, and she risked everything to hide it among his personal effects. Unfortunately, we can never know. It's at this point the Iron Eye can make his way to the crypt below the Round Table, where the priestess waits, along with the traitor.
This man has been expecting you. It's time you spoke.
Well met, comrade. It pains me to see you like this, but yes, I am the traitor. You've come to hurry me to my end, haven't you? I've been waiting. Well, you'd best get on with it. Didn't quite manage it, did we? You should know as well as anyone, we can't be killed so easily. Find an edge of order, and I'll let you in on a little secret. Feeling talkative, are we? Find an edge of order, a blade of unique make. It has layered within the weight of the night. Find one, and I'll talk. Of course the Fellowship would send someone after me. They kill anything and everything that stands in their way. This is no different.
An edge of order. I know how you might find one. The beings, known as Night Centaurs, spill over with sacred power. Your search should begin with them.
The traitor can't be killed. And from the way he stated that their kind can't die so easily, I suspect the same is true of the Iron Eye. In order to complete his mission and put an end to the monster, the Iron Eye must face the Darkdrift Knight, Fulgor, the champion of Nightglow, and upon defeating him, break off a piece of his weapon. This piece is known as an Edge of Order, a fragment of the spear of Fulgor, champion of Nightglow, imbued with holy essence through battles in Limveld, can briefly, and only with very limited potency, grant its power to other armaments. When those who live in death are felled by the Order, they will never rise again. So this piece of the spear has the power to kill those who live in death, and the monster can only die by this blade.
You have it. Then please, strike true. I can feel it. I'm certain. This is the real thing. I'll tell you what you want to know. You and I, all of us, are already dead. But our curse does not allow us to rest. As those who live in death, we could not rest until the Night Lord was defeated. Battle was not suffering, but pleasure. Until you have undergone the same. You have the same eyes. What will you do? My heart. I finally feel it. It beats its last. Ah.
I'm surprised to learn the truth of your natures. However, we strive for the same purpose. I need nothing more. The sad thing is, I think in other circumstances he might have joined us here. But in the end, he chose to be a monster.
From the way the monster speaks, it sounds as though the Scions of the Fellowship have no idea that they are amongst those who live in death. Somehow, the top brass has hidden this fact from the Iron Eye, and all those who fight for them. I believe that the monster, as well as Isolde, knew this fundamental truth, and both wished to change the way of things. If the Order was going to use those who live in death as assassins, and dispose of them as they saw fit, then it was time for a change. However, it seems now the uncertain future of these people is in the hands of the Iron Eye and his Edge of Order. A report written by the Iron Eye, addressing the Fellowship. Isolde, my custodian, I have no means to deliver this report, but here shall I record my progress. The traitor has been dealt with. All that remains is to face the Night Lord, Iron Eye. P.S. Fear not, Master. My mind is clear. After finishing this letter, the Iron Eye sets off to face Wylder, the Night Lord, and put an end to this relentless flood of night and rain. But with all he's learned, the truth about himself, his handler, his compatriots in the Order, is that truly what the Iron Eye wants to do? Or did he have other plans? A report by the Iron Eye, addressed to the Fellowship. Isolde, my custodian. You were the finest guardian one could hope for. I desired freedom from the yoke of the Fellowship, only because you showed me it was possible. I have only gratitude for you, Master. For now, my night shall never end. The Iron Eye, in the ultimate display of selfishness and self-preservation, cut the throat of the man in the timeless Round Table, creating an eternal night where his brothers and sisters who live in death can roam the land, free of any retaliation from their handlers. The Iron Eye cares not for putting the wrongs of the past to right, and banishing a night which never should have come to the lands between in the first place. He cares only for the freedom Isolde showed him it was possible to have. His Remembrance skin shows us what has become of the Iron Eye after he commits this heinous act. He's covered in blood, with eyes glazed over, but one radiates the ghostly fog of wisps associated with those who live in death. So it is that Limveld is damned, but the Iron Eye will live in undeath to see another day. Thank you for joining me for the story of the Iron Eye. This character is an easy pick for many playing Nightreign, as his utility in facilitating extreme damage is undeniable. However, I think it's fair to say his ending is easily the worst possible outcome. A world trapped in eternal night. Or is it? Do you agree that this is the bad ending, or do you prefer this outcome? Why was Isolde's letter drenched in blood? Was Isolde the monster? Isolde is known to be a female name, and the monster has a distinctly masculine voice, but it would be an interesting twist. Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Watch that button light up as I ask you to like this video, and don't forget to subscribe, hit the bell, and set notifications to all, so you never miss out on any of our lore dives. We look forward to seeing you again for more Elden lore. So far, we've explored Nightfarers that have a strong effect on the overall story we're interacting with. But not every playable character has a significant impact on the final outcome of the war between the Round Table and the Night. There are many stories to tell in Limveld, and they're just as important as those that have direct ties to the Night Lord and our purpose. For instance, the tale of two pirates, captains on the high seas, and the rivalry they'd cultivated over many years. It's not a story we would expect, but it is one worth telling. Today we are going to dive deep into the uncharted waters navigated by the Raider, so that we can better understand this complex man, who, while looking like a drunken brute, is often shown caring for others and helping them reach a better place in their personal journeys. Not every Nightfarer came to the hold out of a sense of duty. This man is simply a force of nature, chasing the most glorious battles, and trudging ever forward to his own personal goals. The Raider's journal begins with his arrival at the Round Table Hold, a look at a time now past. The pirates of the coastal waters love nothing more than a worthy rival, and thus the Raider made his way to Limveld. The encroaching Night Lord was precisely the challenge he wished for, or so his intuition told him. The moment he stepped foot in the Round Table Hold, he knew that he was right, and when he donned the white-horned helmet, he was certain that he could hear it. The gentle murmuring of the waves of the coastal waters that were once so familiar. The Raider is here for one reason and one reason alone. He wants to fight the Night Lord. There is no great nobility behind his thirst for battle. He simply wants to prove his superiority as the strongest warrior on land and sea. His own weapon tells us he's been crafting his legacy over time with this battle-focused mindset. The Raider's preferred weapon, a great axe fashioned from a ship's figurehead. On his first voyage, the Raider vanquished countless pirates on the high seas. When a figurehead was dislodged from its ship during a tumultuous back and forth, the Raider claimed it for himself, that it might later serve as a reminder of his glorious exploits. Everywhere he goes, the Raider carries the symbol of his passion for battle and victory. After we indulge his appetite for combat and defeat a Night Lord, we learn more about him. The Raider removed the helmet and placed it on the floor with a thunk. The war with the Night was constant, never leaving an idle moment. And yet, he felt oddly unfulfilled. Do you feel the same, old friend? As he murmured to himself, he patted the white horns of his beloved helmet. They were chiseled and worn, reminders of the countless battles waged heretofore. There must be someone who'd pour his soul into a battle to the death. A rival fierce enough to make one's blood boil. He was certain that such a warrior could not be far, and perhaps even quite close. Maybe right here, in the Round Table Hold. It would seem none of these battles against the denizens of Limveld or the Night Lords at the end of each cycle were enough for the Raider. With each victory, he proved to himself that these creatures of the night were unworthy of being his rivals. Interestingly, it would seem the Iron Menial was announcing something grand. A tourney meant to bring together the greatest warriors in the lands between, to fight for supremacy.
This monument stands testament to a series of proud battles. Long ago, sacred rituals were held in the name of Grin, god of war, to extol the virtue of the soul. Conquerors of neighboring seas were gathered to fight in contests of strength, each with the potential to discover a truly worthy opponent. As you can see, this stone records the history of what transpired. Oh, my stars. That was the starting signal. I can't believe it, but it seems you've been chosen to participate in a battle to prove your valor. The tourney of the lands between has begun. The electricity in the air lingers. As I mentioned, the tourney between is a sacred ritual of combat. A contest of strength designed to display and celebrate the valor of the victor's soul. From a field of 8 participants, as you might surmise, the winner must emerge victorious from 3 battles in total. The monument will reveal the fight for which you have been chosen. Once you feel prepared, touch the stone.
After touching the stone, the raider is transported to the first round of the tourney, where he does battle against the one-strike gladiator, a man as fearsome as his name suggests. The raider must face this opponent alone, as one cannot enter the arena with their companions. And seems whenever it's time for us to take on another round, we must do so solo. Upon his defeat, the gladiator drops a torn braided cord. A torn magic wording braided cord, worn by warriors for good luck on the eve of battle. The distinctive stone clasp suggests that it belonged to glory-seeking pirates. The legends surrounding the competing seafaring factions, who divided the seas into east and west, have been spoken of for generations in places near and far. It looks like his opponent was also a pirate, possibly even one he had locked horns with in the past. And with this victory, the raider moves on to the next round of the tourney, with some unexpected encouragement from the Iron Eye.
Congratulations on your victory. I should have expected nothing less. But oh, what's that you have there? Well, I think... Allow me some time to look into it, won't you? For now, why don't you touch the monument again to see what is next in store for you? A worthy foe, no doubt. It won't reveal to you your next opponent. Perhaps the other battles are yet to conclude. I suppose all you can do is try again later.
I've got high hopes for you. With your physique, no run-of-the-mill opponent stands a chance. But don't think it'll be the same next time. You'd best go in prepared.
The tourney of the lands between was finished, and once again he found himself peering at his white-horned helmet. It was a good feeling, but he wanted more. He recalled the words of the Iron Menial, the potential to discover a truly worthy opponent. For the pirates of the coastal waters, such a rival is more precious than any treasure. Being forced to wait for the next round of the tourney, the raider again set out to Limveld with his companions, fighting back against the knight, possibly as a way to keep his senses sharp for the next round. As of yet, nothing in Limveld has met his standard for a true rival, but perhaps the next round would change that. It was around this time the raider noticed one of his companions wasn't doing very well. The Wylder sat by himself, tending to his sword, not really willing to speak with anyone else inside the hold. He spoke with the Duchess, hoping she could be of some help, suggesting that she find something the Wylder can use to better tend to his weapon. Upon her completion of this task, the raider was happy to know that his companions would be looking out for each other, just as he intended on looking out for them. The anticipation of his next battle reminded him of an old memory from his time sailing the coastal waters. A wave knocked the raider onto the shore, and his first mate Weathervane called out to him, "Ah, "Are you alive, Captain?" The raider replied by slamming a fist into his low-worn helmet, causing a gush of blood. But he paid it no mind. Never should have asked. Weathervane sighed, but at the same time appeared to be scribbling some notes. The raider took notice, and Weathervane brazenly chuckled. "I've got front row seats to a duel to the death between two bloody beasts. Figured I could make a fortune if I got the details down." Before diving into the next round of the tourney, this first mate, Weathervane, is an important figure in the raider's life, and we only learn about her through the Duchess's storyline. When talking to the raider, he tells her a story about Weathervane, confessing he wasn't much of a pirate himself with his focus on battle. Weathervane was his first mate, a young girl who looked up to him as an older brother, and it was his stubbornness that led to a falling out between the two. A falling out that led to Weathervane's death in Limveld. While it seems she found what it was she was looking for out in the world, the raider still lives with the death of his apprentice on his conscience. With this understanding, we know Weathervane was someone close to the raider, someone who may have been able to break him out of his single-mindedness. And his care for his companions at the Round Table Hold suddenly makes a whole lot more sense, when we consider he doesn't want to see his previous failings repeated. The time would come where the second round of the tourney was upon the raider, and he made his way to the Iron Menial, as his opponent was not quite ready to fight.
I have made some discoveries regarding what you showed me when last we spoke. I found something rather interesting in a history of the coastal waters. Have a look for yourself. Whitehorn ruled the West Waters, while the Black Claw presided over the eastern seas. The pattern of the braid is proof enough. It is the mark of the very same Whitehorn, which, if I'm not mistaken, is you. You were searching for the Black Claw, were you not? The ancient enemy with whom you could finally settle your business. It appears your next opponent has been decided. All you need do is touch the monument.
The scroll given to us by the menial reveals a bit of the history of the coastal waters. A scrap of paper with a Nor on the Whitehorn, part of a legend of the coastal waters, written by a certain first mate. Two seafarers, one from the west and the other from the east, were once locked in a fierce competition for influence. The Whitehorn ruled the western waters, while the Black Claw resided over the eastern seas. Upon the shore did they contend for 7 days and 7 nights to see which was the stronger. While fought bravely, a clear victor felt undeterminable. It seems this piece of the legend was written by Weathervane, and it clearly speaks to the raider and his true rival. After reading this, the raider's next opponent was ready. The pirate of the coast was face to face with a blinding elder lion, a fierce competitor to be sure, but not one he couldn't handle. In a fierce battle between a vicious hunter and a brick wall of a man, the raider came out on top, and both the Iron Menial and the Iron Eye wished to speak with him.
Victorious again. Well played, my champion. Now all that remains is a single match. I fear that you have already guessed it. But yes, your next foe is the worthy Black Claw. Just one last victory is all we need. Go on.
I knew you'd come good. Were you fighting sea monsters in your pirate days? I can see why history remembers you. Next is the grand finale. No room for doubt anymore. Make sure you come back the victor.
It's interesting how the Iron Eye opens up to the raider, wanting to learn more about the pirates of the coast, showing us another side of this typically guarded assassin. This speaks to the temperament of the raider. The other Nightfarers see him as a stalwart companion, an older brother figure, much like Weathervane once did. He proves it time and again in wanting to help ease the burdens of his companions by asking the Duchess to help the Wylder and sharing his stories with those wanting to listen. After the raider finished this round of the tourney of the Lance Between, the Iron Eye asked him a question. Whitehorn and Blackclaw, was it? Intriguing story, but I heard they never settled who'd rule the coastal waters. Why not? The assassin of the Fellowship had suddenly become quite talkative about naval campaigns. Perhaps we'll never know, but I can say one thing. With a smile, the raider slapped his helmet. Pirates of the coastal waters never forget a vow to lock horns. We'd rather die than live as cowards. Again, the raider was forced to wait for his next opponent. But this time, something was wrong. The raider waited for the commencement of the final match of the Tourney of the Lands Between. But the Iron Menial noticed something amiss with the monument. There is no sign of a coming battle. Perhaps something's happened to your challenger. But the raider was patient. He knew that this was a time for patience, and moreover, that his opponent was fond of arriving late. The sea breeze reminded him of his memories of the coastal waters. The raider sat on the shore, where they were arranged to meet. Weathervane pleaded with him. "Give this one up, Captain. He's part of the night now." The raider peered west, at a sea engulfed by darkness, and punched the white-horned helmet. "I'll hold on to this for now." After reminiscing for a moment, he was interrupted by a gentle murmur of waves. The raider opened his eyes and gazed silently out at the waters. He knew where he must go, for when the sea summons them to fight, the call must be answered. It seems as though the raider came to the Lands Between not to face the Night Lord, but to lock horns once again with his ultimate opponent, the pirate who he had once done battle with for 7 straight hours with no clear victor. The man from the west, the White Horn, was lost to the night, which means the raider, with his white horn helmet, must be the Black Claw. While the monument had told them that his opponent had forfeit, the raider knew that the White Claw must be waiting for him on the beach. 2 pirates of their caliber would not meet each other in the arena. They would meet where once their passions flared, and their battle raged: the coast. Upon reaching the water, the raider is brought back to the Colosseum, where he can do battle against his rival, the White Horn. A fierce competitor in his own right, the White Horn is no match for the raider, not in his current state, eaten away by darkness. It's not until he succumbs completely to the night that he stands a fighting chance, becoming an ulcerated tree spirit and attacking the raider with golden fire. No one man was meant to fight a tree spirit and live to tell the tale, but the raider, in his single-minded pursuit of victory against the man he traveled the seas to face, did not let that stop him. Eventually, he felled the White Horn, putting an end to their ceaseless competition. And for this, he was met with revelry from the Menial and the Iron Eye.
The curtain falls upon the tourney. I saw the beacon rise, just like the start. Now, as much as I'd love to tender my heartfelt congratulations, you should take a look at the monument yourself.
Upon the defeat of the White Horn, the raider receives the Black Claw necklace, an item that once belonged to him. A necklace made from a thick, rugged claw, with a shining black luster that instills fear in any who gaze upon it. Long ago, the raider fought the king of the archipelago forest. He grappled the hulking beast with his iron grip and flung him away, proving his strength. He claimed the king's broken claw as a trophy and testament to his victory. For a time, the raider devoted himself to exploits on the high seas, but he tired of the unending struggle that never seemed to determine a clear victor. And so, he delivered the claw to his arch-nemesis as an invitation to duel to the death. It would seem before their first meeting, the White Horn and the Black Claw exchanged symbols of their previous victories in order to challenge each other to a duel. This explains why the raider wears the white horns and bones of an animal, likely a kill of the White Horns. The White Horn respected him in the same way, by wearing the Black Claw necklace. After the glow of battle had worn off, there was nothing left for the raider to do but pay his respects to the man who pushed him to be stronger than he ever thought possible.
Yes, I rather think you had better pay your respects. Allow me to help.
I suppose this puts an end to our contest. Giving these back, partner. Rome free.
Well done. I doubt there will ever be another tourney of the lands between again. Though it is a ritual which enables the victor to enter the battle they most desire to face, the monument is drained of energy. Now its role seems to have been played out. Satisfied, in its way, I should think. Let's leave it be. I am sure that will be for the best.
Maybe now isn't the time, but well done. You've proved you are peerless in your strength. Might not have been a happy memory for you, but I'll never forget what you've achieved.
The final match was held, bringing the tourney of the lands between to its conclusion. The raider gave the Whitehorn helmet back to its owner, and was Blackclaw once again. A gentle wind brushed his cheek. He wondered how Weathervane may have recorded their battle in words. The pirates of the coastal waters loved nothing more than a worthy rival. But these days, the raider no longer hears the gentle murmur of the waves. For him, the sea churns no longer. In the end, the raider takes back his mantle as the Black Claw, and we can see how he earned his namesake through his Remembrance skin. Underneath his armor, when his face and shoulders are not obscured by the Whitehorn's helm, we can see the black claw marks embedded in his flesh. It would seem a large creature, with the power of death, has left their mark. It's unclear if this was the king mentioned in the description of the Black Claw necklace, but I'm inclined to believe it was not, as that claw is far too small to have belonged to whatever creature left the imprint of their massive fingers across his body. I like to think the raider once did battle with Malekith, the Black Blade, perhaps in the times of Godfrey's Colosseum, where they may have walked away with their lives regardless of the outcome. We can't know for sure if this is the way of things, but it's hard to imagine anyone else leaving those massive black claw marks on the raider's body. I believe it's after the end of the tourney between that the events of the Duchess's story take place, as the raider seems to be more relaxed, maybe even a little lost before he shared Weathervane's story. He's often found drinking in the dining hall, possibly due to losing his purpose after finally defeating his rival and putting his night-stricken spirit to rest. In hearing Weathervane's final words, I believe the raider, the Black Claw, may find something of himself again, encouraging the Duchess to follow her own path, and perhaps seeing a future for himself as well, back on the high seas. In this way, the raider's story doesn't end with his remembrance. He continues to be a source of wisdom and camaraderie amongst his fellow Nightfarers. While the raider may not have a personal motive in the destruction of the Night Lord, it would seem supporting the warriors around him, acting as their frontline fighter, is enough to drive this old pirate forward after he's put the winds of the past to his back. The raider, at the end of his journey, is ready to continue sailing toward the next horizon, in search of a new path, a new rival, a new purpose. Thank you for joining me as I attempted to cobble together the story of the raider. With one of the more insulated remembrance journals amongst the Nightfarers, it was interesting to see how he plays his part in the larger story, outside of his own personal story. Do you believe the raider's quest is one of the first to conclude? Meaning the other characters' stories he interacts with happen after the tourney? Was his goal always to face his rival in the lands between, or did that opportunity present itself along the way? How do you think the raider received his black claw marks? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Watch that button light up as I ask you to like this video, and don't forget to subscribe, hit the bell, and set notifications to all, so you never miss out on any of our lore dives. We look forward to seeing you again for more Elden lore. The Round Table Hold of Elden Ring Nightreign is home to the Nightfarers, the champions who fight back against the night so that it can one day be extinguished and its influence can no longer taint the world. For many who come to the Hold, their intentions are pure, whether it be to end the night for the good of all, correct the wrongs of their past, or they're simply seeking to test themselves and become the strongest version of whoever that is. But some come to the Hold for more selfish reasons. The Iron Eye is only playing it hero, as his only goals are to complete his contract and self-preservation. The Wylder set off to avenge the destruction of his tribe, but his tribe was already dedicated to defeating the Night. He likely would have found his way to the Lands Between eventually anyway. And finally, the Revenant came to the Hold for vengeance, plain and simple. This living doll came to the Lands Between powered by sheer rage, with every intention of destroying the Night Lord for what he took from her, even if she can't quite remember what it was. Her story is one of fear and heartbreak, a tale of horror that terrifies more than anything else found in Elden Ring. Today we will tell you the story of the Revenant. As far as the Revenant knows, her story begins after waking at the Round Table Hold. Like so many of the Nightfarers, her past is a mystery, just out of reach. But she hoped it would not be for long, as she searched for answers. Trying to escape the encroachment of the night, I awoke. Checking my joints, I traced my way through clouded memories. But where was I? And why did the air smell of must and mold? I needed to know what was going on. That is where I decided to begin. The Revenant seems confused, not only by the strange place she awoke in, but by the very nature of her body. Checking her joints seems to me as if they felt unnatural, as if her doll form was not what she was expecting upon waking. In order to better understand her situation, she speaks with those she finds in this place, starting with another doll, the Iron Menial, who informs her that this is the Round Table Hold, a place where champions gather and all are equal. He suggests she get to know her compatriots, but leaves her with a word of admiration, telling her she is an exquisite doll, and her creator must have been a master craftsman. The Revenant is the only Nightfarer who is brought to the Round Table Hold, rather than reaching it herself. When speaking with the Duchess, she can ask, "Why did you bring me here?" And she says the doll spoke of enacting revenge against the Night Lord, and how she would never forgive it. She'll then say, "Hardly grounds for abandoning you." Couple this with the knowledge that the Revenant awoke in the Round Table after her spirit fought against the Nightfarers, and it paints a picture of a complicated journey, wherein the Revenant wandered across the land until encountering the Duchess. After sharing her pledge of vengeance against the Night, she fell unconscious. The Duchess, knowing that allies were needed for the fight ahead, likely brought the doll to the Round Table so that she might rest, recover, and take up the fight alongside those that would reach the land of Limveld. It seems the Revenant has found her goal, and that the others of the Round Table share it. While she's significantly more prickly than her companions, often telling them the place reeks of failure, she ultimately understands that pushing back the Night is not something she can accomplish on her own. So when the Guardian makes a request of her, she sees how helping him could put her new companions at ease.
How are you feeling? There are some who are wary of your companionship, but your intent was not much different from our own. I have no mind to doubt you, and I'm honored to fight on the same side. That said, you do well to show you are trustworthy. I could give you a job to prove yourself. I may be old-fashioned, but actions speak louder than words. What do you say? Will you hear my request? Without delay, I want you to retrieve a weapon wielded by the forces of night. Their fierceness is compounded by the strength of their arms. But with a proper understanding of their tools, I can fend them off with my shield. It needn't be a perfect specimen. Even a fragment of a blade will do. I leave it in your hands.
It seems the Revenant needs to seek out a fragment of a blade of night so that the Guardian can study it, helping all the Nightfarers better understand how to fell their foe. This gives her the opportunity to fight alongside her new companions and show them just what she's capable of, summoning the spirits of the dead to fight on her behalf. By completing this task, she not only earns the respect of the Guardian, but has his assistance in helping the others understand she's an ally.
Oh, there you are. You found me just what I needed. I am in your debt. You've earned a name for yourself and proven that you belong here with us. I will tell the others of your good deed. You seem intent on keeping them at arm's length, but that matters little, as long as we can work together.
After completing this task, she's also given a small makeup brush by the Iron Menial, likely something he sees her getting more use out of than himself, as her delicate face offers more potential than whatever's hidden behind his helm. A tool for accentuating the beauty of people and things, one of the Iron Menial's favorite items. Though plain, it is a reliable tool, with a soft bristled brush that delicately applies ceruse to skin or other surfaces. Your beauty deserves nothing less. Now the Revenant had joined the fight in earnest, and started to push back against her enemy, the night itself. And in doing so, she started to remember. As I have fought alongside the others of the Round Table Hold, some of the fog surrounding my memories has lifted. I look in the mirror. I remember my name is Daphne, daughter of the prestigious house of Northern-Croft, a family of master puppeteers. But then, upon the day of a fearsome storm, the night swallowed the entirety of the family estate. It was on that day that I became the Revenant, taking on the figure of this doll. The Revenant's true name is Daphne, and she was the daughter of a prestigious family. She still has no inkling as to how she became a doll, but pieces are coming back. She remembers her family name, their estate, and the day the tragedy struck. It's during this time that her fellow Nightfarers surrender the frame to her that they were able to use to wake her from her slumber. A small frame that is missing its picture. Whatever precious memory it once enshrined now is home only to dust and grime. A voice is heard that beckons one to seek the owner, peer into this window, and revisit the first glimpse of night. This item has some significance to Daphne, but as of now, she can't recall what it is. Though my form is that of a doll, yet do I dream. Upon the night of the storm, nothing stirs within the estate, except for me, now inhabiting the unfamiliar body of a doll, aimlessly prowling the grounds. Then, something strokes my cheek. It is ever at this point that the dream is cut short. I awaken and look in the mirror, so I can make sure of the sensations running through me. Are my dreams not enough that you desire more? Black streaks have appeared upon my cheeks. It seems I am cherished by the night indeed. To think it would still give chase, even in this doll's frame. In the mirror, I can see all the ways in which the night eats away at me. As I apply the cosmetics given to me by the Iron Menial, I recall his words to me. Within your memories is a hole of not inconsequential size. It seems that the night is using this toehold to take root. The Recluse was the one who made this observation, but I know not how much she is worth my trust. That aside, I cannot grow accustomed to applying makeup with my own hand. Back at home, someone would have done it for me. The task complete, I caress the smoothness of my cheeks. Now I come to think of it. What was the name I gave this doll? Daphne is touched by the night. The gap in her memories, one that is all too common for many of the Nightfarers, is being used against her. The knight itself is attempting to slip into her doll form and take it from her. This is a truth she is unwilling to share with her companions, assuming they might think her a risk in their war. For now, Daphne keeps her worries, her fears, to herself. But there's one more nagging question. The doll body she now inhabits used to belong to her human self. It was a deeply beloved friend to her. So why can't she remember its name? I look into the mirror. The night eats away at more and more. Pitiful. She was my darling baby, carved by my grandfather. I called her by a name, but I don't know if I'll ever recall it now. Instead, I stroke her face. I must find a way to purge my body of the night that is nesting within. In that case, I believe the priestess. Daphne was becoming desperate. She needed to know how to fight back against this infection that writhed through her body, and she believed her friend, the one who ensured she made it to the round table safe and sound, could help her.
The condition has worsened. There's only so much that can be hidden. We'll have to do something about that. We need to think of something. Listen carefully. Your condition, the contamination, it's spreading. If it continues, you'll be swallowed by the night again. You must conquer this fear of the night. You might say the words, but deep down, you do not believe them. Go to see the witch. She should be able to help.
The priestess believes it's fear that's holding Daphne back, and that the Recluse is the only person who can help her to fight the contamination. She's right, as the Recluse is prepared to guide her to the truth through meditation.
Thou wouldst halt the contamination, yes? Those who have surrendered themselves to the night even once are powerless to resist its allure. The night within thee hath begun to fester. Whether or not it can be kept in check is entirely dependent upon thee. Please sit, when thou art sure of mine.
Before getting into what happens next, I think it's important we address what the Recluse said here. The Revenant has already fallen to the darkness of the night once before. I believe this is what put her to sleep initially, and it's why our Nightfarers needed the besmirched portrait to wake her. Essentially, when we fought the Revenant, we were fighting back the corruption of the night, and by successfully defeating her, Daphne was able to wake up and regain her senses. We can also see this corruption whenever she uses her ultimate art, as half the doll's face falls away, and we can see a dark skull beneath. Perhaps her ability to control spirits at all is a side effect of the night's corruption. We can't know for sure, but either way, after sitting for the Recluse and closing her eyes, Daphne begins walking the path to ridding herself of the night's influence. She awakens on the grounds of her home, wandering, much as she described in her previous dreams. She comes across the portrait of a man, Edgar Blackcoat Northerncroft, the grandfather who carved the doll body she now inhabits. This is not the end of her journey, though, as just beyond this portrait is a room of some significance. She sees herself within, or rather, her doll, sitting steady on a chair, and upon approaching her, the corrosion within herself begins to attack. She fights back using her spirit companions and the claw weapons she awoke with at the round table. Upon defeating them, she approaches the doll, and reads a carving found on her body. My darling little Daphne. So it would seem Daphne is the name of the doll, not the daughter of the house. Perhaps she is yet to find her true name, mistaking the name of her precious doll for her own. After completing this trek through herself, the Revenant dreams again. Dolls too have their dreams. This I know. The daughter of the house softly caresses my cheeks. Let's put on a little makeup, Daphne. I always liked having my makeup done. I caress the cheeks of the face that looks back from the mirror. These fingers have not the warmth, nor the softness I expect. It seems I must face again what transpired upon that stormy night. It looks as if the work done alongside the Recluse to reclaim her memories was not enough. Her corruption is still spreading, but so is something else. A sinking feeling that something is still forgotten. Something that can't be reclaimed without facing that horrible night one more time.
Dolly dear, thou shouldst by now have ascertained that which thou must face. Wilt thou the truth uncover upon the next attempt? Yes, a fine girl thou art. Please, sit. Close thine eyes. Find the thing thou hast hidden.
The Revenant again steps into the world of her dreams, the world of her past. But this time, something is different. As she approaches the portrait of her grandfather, she sees it splattered with blood, with broken furniture alongside it. She rushes back to the library, where she faced the corruption previously, but this time she finds something bigger, more aggressive, the contaminant itself in the form of a royal revenant. After a hard-fought battle, the contamination is removed permanently, and the Revenant's memories return. The horrible truth uncovered. I grasped the portrait and faced the mirror. The daughter of the house is no more. She will never caress my face again, no matter how I yearn. I never was a human, and now the mantle of doll no longer fits me. There is but one thing that I must accomplish, the every reason I became the Revenant, to bring an end to the Night of the Storm. The Revenant found the truth. She has always been a doll. The daughter of the house, her friend, was brutally murdered in front of her by a man who was most likely her father, as he did not look old enough to be Edgar Northerncroft, nor did he share his beard. After uncovering the truth, the besmirched frame becomes the old portrait, which is described as an intricate painting of a girl of pure heart and an elderly companion that conveys both trust and affection. On that night, the doll understood. The young girl wished to live, and with that understanding, the doll found her purpose. On the back of the painting is a hurriedly scrawled, fading message. Chloe, seek happiness, for you deserve it more than anyone. The daughter of the house was named Chloe. Daphne was her doll, her friend, and the brutality inflicted upon Chloe is what spurred Daphne to live. I believe the message that was written on the frame came from her grandfather, Edgar Northerncroft, the man who created Daphne for his granddaughter. Some believe that the soul of Chloe resides within Daphne, that her soul is the source of Daphne's awakening, but I don't believe this is the case. Daphne's fingers twitch before Chloe is killed. She's clearly awakening to consciousness before her friend has died. It's also said in the description of the portrait that seeing Chloe's desperate wish to live is what brought life to the Revenant. She was an object, lovingly cared for by a pure, innocent soul. And perhaps the love she was shown, along with the horror inflicted on her owner, and the very corruption of the night itself, all came together to give her life. This makes even more sense when we look at the description of the Revenant's cursed claws. A silver accessory that attaches claws to the ring and little fingers. A lady bore the claw before meeting a horrific death, which transformed the claw into a fetish. Swing to slash enemies apart. Only the Revenant can make proper use of this weapon, owing to her resonance with the spiritual. For other warriors, the claw is reduced to a blunt instrument. The claw previously belonged to Chloe, and it was meant to be nothing more than decoration. But her death turned it into a fetish, giving it power. It specifically said that the Revenant can make use of it because she resonates with spiritual power, not because she herself houses Chloe's spirit. Perhaps the pure, unbridled need for revenge for the injustice inflicted upon someone who cared so deeply for her is what bore the Revenant, and upon uncovering the truth of her origins, the Revenant, Daphne, found her resolve to push back fear and truly step forward to defeat the Night Lord. However, this is only one possibility. I believe there's another reason the Revenant may have been given life, more deeply tied to the lore of Nightreign. We know that the Nightfarers are brought to the Round Table Hold due to being drawn there by the remains of their ancestors. This was the will of the Cutting Gifted people, who sacrificed themselves to give the world a chance to fight back against the Night. If the Northerncroft family traced their origins back to the Cutting tribe, then one of their descendants would need to be called to fight against the Night Lord. But the Night wiped out their entire lineage, much like it tried to do to the Wylder. Perhaps the Revenant was given life because a member of the Northerncroft family needed to find their way to the Hold, and she was a true daughter of the family, carved by its patriarch and lovingly tended by his granddaughter. I believe it's possible that the call of the Round Table itself may have been what gave the Revenant life. It heard her pleas for vengeance, saw what she was enduring in watching her friend, her sister, be murdered, and granted her wish, so that she might rise and take revenge on the Night that had taken everything from her. Thank you for joining us for this breakdown of the Revenant, her story, and our thoughts on what ultimately brought her to life. Do you believe that a piece of Chloe lives within the Revenant? Was she brought to life by the magic of the Cutting Gifted people? Did the Night give a piece of itself to the doll? Let us know your thoughts and theories in the comments. Watch that button light up as I say like this video, and if you think we've earned it, please subscribe and hit the bell so you never miss out on any of our lore dives. We look forward to seeing you again for more Elden lore. The Pinion Folk were a new race introduced in Elden Ring Nightreign that hail from a land far to the west of the Lands Between. They share their appearance with the divine bird warriors introduced to us in Shadow of the Erdtree, but whether or not they share a deeper connection is unknown. It's fair to say that these people, with their avian features, share a deeper tie to the primordial crucible than others, but their entire civilization is likely to have been separated from the Lands Between and its goings-on. The Guardian is the last of his kind, the only remaining member of the Pinion Folk, as they've all been killed by their enemies, which employed dark magics to incapacitate their wings. With no flock and no purpose, he finds his way to the Round Table Hold, ready to stand against the night, alongside those who have taken up the cause. Through this fight, he finds new purpose, but before he can truly claim it, the past must be set right. This is the story of the Guardian. The Guardian's journal entries go back and forth between memories of the old flock and the new, so I'm going to start with the old flock. Before he has made his way to the Round Table Hold, long before his people lost their ability to soar through the sky, the Guardian was born in the Winged Realm, becoming a knight of the Pinion Folk, sworn to protect its lands and peoples. In the splintered memories of the Guardian are two flocks. The old flock from his home nation, who he failed to protect, who died, and the new flock, who fare with him against the night. This is the memory of the old flock. In formation they took to the skies, cutting through the air with the ease of a single living being. From his vantage amongst the clouds, the Guardian spied the citadel below. A hail of spears came hurtling from the ramparts. This was all part of their duty, as winged warriors of the Scapular Regiment. The Guardian's Corps took the van to shield the greater flock from the incoming projectiles, before receding to allow the Talon Regiment to plunge into the fortress. It would not stand for long. It was through battle that the flock was whole, until the cursed blades would come to rob them of their wings. The Pinion Folk were once locked in battle against an enemy we never come to fully know. They had the edge against these people with their command of the sky, and ability to fight as one. The Pinion Folk are said here to fight as if they were one living being. Their precision in flying together, defending together, attacking together, made them a force to be reckoned with. A force their enemies could only defeat by appealing to darker forces. This is a memory of the old flock. The Guardian was the sole survivor of a war in which there was no hope of victory. It was in battle that the flock was whole, and could rebuff any and all who dared face them. Knights of the Pinion Folk feared not death. It was their duty and their pride to give themselves for the sake of the whole. The flock would always grow new feathers. But with ease it was that the cursed blades stole from the flock their wholeness and unity, by instilling in them the fear of losing their flight. Before the curse, the Guardian's shield was powerless. The implication here is that the unity the Guardian's forces prided themselves on fell apart the moment their wings could be stripped from them. This enemy had found a way to imbue a curse on the Pinion Folk through their blades that would remove their ability to fly. These cursed blades may seem reminiscent of the Black Knives, but I think it's important to note that they are only said to have the ability to steal the Pinion Folk's flight, not kill them. So it was that their loss in this great war came from within. The flock could no longer fight as one, if the many were deserting the battle to keep their wings. So the Guardian's entire unit fell, leaving him the only survivor. With no flock, no purpose, and without the ability to fly, he wandered, until eventually finding the Round Table Hold. Upon doing so, he met the Recluse, who saw that his wings were limited, and did what she could to help. This is the memory of the new flock, of a meeting between the Guardian and a witch, both of whom were guided to the Round Table Hold. There, though I doubt thou wilt soar the skies as once thou didst, so murmured the Recluse, gently stroking the wing in sympathy. The Guardian felt the curse that eats away at his wing recede, its progress halted. He thanked her with courtesy, but the Recluse just shook her head in silence. "'Tis nothing. 'Twas for such times I learned what I did." The Guardian turned his eye to a nearby pile of books. Perhaps, if armed with knowledge, I might have saved them, he thought. It was from thence that the Guardian began to address the Recluse as his teacher. This fated meeting ended up saving what little ability the Guardian still had to soar. If not for the efforts of the Recluse, he would be unable to take to the sky to save his allies, or use his wings to kick up the storm around his feet. From this point on, the Guardian began studying under the Recluse, learning all he could about the night and its power, so that it could never take from others the way the curse took from him. In his research, he reaches out to his fellow Nightfarers, first asking the Executor if he has ever seen the Erd Tree, as it is now absent from the land they explore, then giving the Revenant a task so that she might prove herself a stalwart ally. While he was ready to accept her from the beginning, he saw the opportunity to have her prove her worth to the rest of the Nightfarers, while also providing him with research materials so that they might all better understand the Knight's power. Unfortunately, not every interaction with his fellow Nightfarers was so pleasant. This is a memory of the new flock, of a lesson learned at the Round Table Hold. "Just put it on, I fixed it up for you, friend." The man known as the Raider was bold and boisterous. "I knew it would be perfect for a fine knight of your stature." He was also a terrible meddler, and willful in his way. Having had the helm foisted upon him, the Guardian instinctively batted it away. He knew the Raider had meant no harm, but he had simply laid down his helm long ago. Ever since the day he lost the flock he failed to protect. The Raider had attempted to repair the helm once worn by the Guardian long ago, likely thinking he was doing his companion a kindness. But after the Guardian's reaction, the Raider sees the error of his ways.
I don't know the whole story, but I seem to have done you wrong. I'm sorry, brother.
The Guardian then speaks with the Iron Menial, who's concerned after seeing the confrontation.
I hesitate to ask, good champion, but would you mind explaining what happened between you and the Raider? You speak of the chivalric band to which you belonged. How did you come to lose them, as you say? I see. A tragic tale indeed. And your form, heartbreaking. Though it boggles the mind to think there was an attack which your defensive prowess could not overcome. Indeed, what could have caused such a thing? Oh, the scarring. This is the work of an accursed blade. I once read a story in a very old tome about a realm far west of the lands between, where fighting erupted. One side was comprised of winged men. They were robbed of these wings by an accursed weapon known as a Nectaris. Countless Pinion folk were killed, while their kingdom's fate hung in the balance. Or so the story goes. I never imagined I would meet a living victim. The accursed weapon, the Nectaris, is chronicled in a certain tome. But I'm afraid there are no other clues. The tome was part of a 3-volume collection, and 2 of the set are missing. If I could have read their contents, I may have been able to help you. Good champion. We must pursue this further. We must determine the origin of the curse, to keep history from repeating itself. The books might yet be found in the lands between, and I too would be most gladdened if you were to find them.
The Menial had given the Guardian hope. There was a series of books that could hold the truth behind the curse that afflicted his people. He could potentially not only find vengeance against those responsible, but protect his new flock, which he began to see as true companions. In order to unlock the tomes the Menial had available to him, the Guardian needed to seek out a stone stake. This item opens a sealed-away lock, crafted by an ancient civilization, and claimed from a Guardian golem. It's still imbued with an old yet fading magic. it can open locks sealed in a similar manner to the golem. After defeating a golem and taking the stake for himself, he returned to the Iron Menial, and they opened the second volume of the set.
Did you find it? Thank you. Indeed, that's the key we're after. The witch brought the tome to me, bound though it was. But now the seal can be undone. The terrible thing is a product of war. However, the origin of the curse is still frustratingly opaque. Perhaps we shall discover it in the remaining volume.
They learned precious little about the curse, only that it originated with the war and did not exist before this time. But the origins of the curse itself were still opaque. We're given this book after it's unlocked, and it tells us, annals detailing the histories of certain cursed weapons speak of a conflict far to the west. An account mentions one such accursed weapon, called an lemurs. The blade leaves a wound that can never heal, owing to an ancient curse with the power to twist life. A frightful tampon, concocted by a master of curses, under contract to an army determined to achieve victory. The army the Pinion folk did battle with commissioned the curse, and someone was all too willing to create it for them. However, for now, the trail had run cold, and the Guardian was left to his research, raising his beak from time to time to look at his new flock and try to understand his place in it. This is a memory of the new flock. While in the study, in wafted the alluring savor of freshly baked bread. The taciturn warrior must have been in a mind to cook. Led by the aroma in the courtyard, the pirate's bellowing laughter rang out. The archer had an arrow aimed at the big man. The Guardian had no mind to stop their amusement, for he knew they were merely making merry. The swordsman said not a word, and headed to his easel. They were a flock that was far from whole, imbalanced and uneven. He wondered if the word even truly applied. It was around that time that the unfamiliar merchant arrived. The Guardian felt something as he looked over his companions. A kinship was forming, and while it was unlike what he had known, he was already starting to feel protective of the other Nightfarers. So when a new face joined them at the round table, he needed to make sure they posed no threat.
Well, you must be my savior. It is a pleasure to meet you. I am but a humble merchant. I must have strayed into this cheery place at some point, though I know not when or how. I believe you are attempting to rescue the lands between from its plight. Well, I can hardly stand by and do nothing. Allow me to aid you in your quest, even as one who leads a somewhat unusual existence. I'm sure I can be of use. Pardon me. Please, take this to mark the occasion of our acquaintance. It might seem a little worse for wear, but trust me, it remains as potent as ever. It will protect you, my savior. I shall share them out amongst your comrades later. Now please, do take a look at my wares. Welcome, my... Goodness gracious, I've sold... Thank you, you truly are a customer like no other. I hope to restock before long. Please, do look forward to it.
Upon completing his business with the merchant, the Guardian turned to leave. However, a dizziness took him, and he collapsed onto the floor, where he would be found by his companions.
Oh, good. You're awake. You gave us such a fright, collapsing like that. Your body is in reasonable condition, as far as I can tell. How do you feel? All seems well. Thank goodness.
Rememberest thou the charm thou art given? Indeed. The cause was immaturity. A wish became a curse. I doubt there was any malice involved, but if it had happened in the midst of battle, danger would have abounded.
I have informed everyone who received the charm to dispose of it. There is nothing more to worry about.
As the Recluse had said, it was the charm given to him by this unscrupulous merchant that led to his collapse. Whether he knew of the harm it would cause or not, this was a threat that the Guardian could not abide. His flock would not fall victim to anyone's machinations, as long as they stood behind his shield.
Welcome, my savior. What? What's the matter? Ah! What are you doing? Why, my savior, tell me why I don't want to.
After dispatching the merchant, the Guardian finds his ledger. A dubious ledger used by a merchant, filled to the margins with detailed records of transactions. A recent bold entry stands out. Ancient annals conveyed to a demon. This is the clue the Guardian's been looking for. The location of the third tome. The one that would lead him to the truth. However, before he could act on this, a voice filled the space behind him. This is a memory of the new flock. After taking care of the merchant, the Guardian heard a voice coming from behind. "I suppose thou wert protecting thy flock," said the Recluse. "Indeed, mistress. I consider our fellows of the Round Table to be as you say." In response, the Recluse nodded her head, unspeaking for a moment. Then, "I know the laws of thy people. Thou wilt not suffer those who endanger the flock to remain." There was within the merchant's ledger a clue pertaining to the cursed blades. He asked the Iron Menial to help investigate.
Haven't seen the merchant of late. Do you happen to know anything? Oh, you didn't have to go and... I see. Well, we'll let bygones be bygones, shall we? I won't speak any more on the matter. In any case, it appears as if you have more to say. What's this? A list of transactions. Ah, here. The tome we're looking for. Conveyed to a demon. What on earth could it mean?
The Iron Menial was less than helpful, but the Guardian recalled a creature he and the other Nightfarers had encountered on their many journeys through Limveld. A dark presence in a black robe holding a scale. Perhaps this was the demon the merchant was referring to. After finding him, the Guardian is able to purchase the tome for a significant number of runes and take it back to the Round Table. Unbeknownst to the Avian Knight, this demon is actually the equilibrious beast, Libra, creature of the night. But his defeat would come another day, as the top priority now was to bring the tome to the Iron Menial.
Well, have you retrieved the final volume? Ah, I see. I needn't have asked. Very well. Let us see what it says. It appears the curse itself was brought from afar. Well, even if we weren't able to unravel the mystery to its fullest extent, you have my deepest gratitude for your efforts. Brave champion.
The tome again held precious little info. Annals detailing the histories of certain cursed weapons speak of a conflict far to the west. An account mentions one such accursed weapon, called an Icterus. The blade shared an identical engraving, a symbol of the sorcery of a distant land, a script put down in blood. However, it was enough to make the menial suspicious.
I have a troubling feeling. The curse we spoke of, it may be closer than we think. Or perhaps I'm overthinking things. I dearly hope I am.
This is a memory of the new flock. The third volume collected laid bare the secrets of the cursed weapon known as the Icterus. The curse is the product of a sorcery from deep within a distant land. A script put down in blood. The Guardian remembered reading about this particular variety of magic. Knowledge and knowing lead to protection. So he believed, of his knowledge gained under the tutelage of his teacher. The Guardian knew now for certain. He knew now of many stories. The tale of the pack of horses galloping across Windwheel Knoll. The great adventures of the pirates of the coastal waters. The fearsome fellowship. The wandering warrior, whose habit was to preserve scenes with ink and brush. And finally, the tale of the witch of the deep woods, who wielded cursed magics. The Guardian has come to truly know each member of his new flock, their hopes, fears, ambitions, but most importantly, their stories. In doing so, he believes he's unraveled the truth of the curse which plagued the old flock. This was his group, and he needed to defend them. This is a memory of the new flock. The Guardian was forced to make a decision for the safety of the flock. Eyes closed as he contemplated matters, someone approached. I do not like to interfere. Across him stood a girl, who seemed more doll than human, the newest feather to find home within the flock. However, I owe the witch a debt. Even with what you now know, it is not too late. And with that she left, leaving behind a scrap of paper. This scrap of paper read, "The Study, third shelf of the rightmost bookcase, a history of the ritual implement known as Icterus." It seems as though the truth the Guardian was in search of lay in the round table all along. He discovered the tome the Revenant had led him to, and it read, "Imbued with the magic of a long-lived witch, once used to quell the storm and save lives, but repurposed as a vicious weapon, now used to pluck feathers from the sky and take lives." As it would seem, this weapon stole its power from something else. A fetish created to quell storms, not to harm others. The enemies of the Pinion Folk had repurposed this magic to serve their ends. Now there was only one question left to answer. Did the Guardian still blame its original creator for bringing this power into the world?
What is it? I see thou hast my role in thy plight deduced. Indeed, I am the one who tore thy kind from the sky. This is a crystallization of that accursed magic. I entrust it to thee. I knew one day it would come to this. Now, do as thou wilt with me. But why? The fault lies with me. For thy peoples, I believe I understand. I will not forget this kindness. My utmost thanks, good Sir Knight.
While the Guardian has a choice to swing his halberd or not, the Recluse herself was never in danger. The brooch she hands him upon sparing her tells us more about its power. A brooch imbued with potent magic, made from the blood magic crystal received from the Recluse. This brooch powered the accursed Icterus weapons that once robbed the Pinion Folk of flight. At first, this magic brooch, with its aura of unknowable power, was intended as a ceremonial tool to calm violent winds. But the war, for better or worse, demanded that it be employed otherwise, as a magic artifact to bring a swift end to the conflict. If we chose to destroy the brooch, the text is a little different. A cracked brooch, bereft of its former magic, a blood magic crystal received from the Recluse. This brooch powered the accursed Icterus weapons that once robbed the Pinion folk of flight. The Guardian smashed the jewel at the core of this magic implement. To think, it was once a mere ceremonial tool to calm violent winds. Whether we choose to destroy it or not, the brooch was never meant to be used against the Pinion folk. It was the evil in the hearts of man that drove them to use the power in such a way. And the Guardian would not pretend the Recluse was responsible for the actions of his enemies. This is a memory of the new flock. The Guardian could not bring himself to harm the Recluse, though she was indeed the one who birthed the curse which wrenched away the wings of his former flock. She was one feather utterly essential to the new. The Guardian weighed both thoughts in his mind. He knew then what it was that he must protect, and as proof of his knighthood, his very resolution, he would don the helm that the giant of a man had mended for his wear. Taking it in hand, the Guardian stepped forth with renewed purpose. The helm the Raider had restored for the Guardian back when their journey began would serve a symbolic purpose. These helmets were worn into battle by the Pinion folk and their flock. By donning it anew, the Guardian was solidifying his acceptance of his new flock. He had a new goal, the destruction of the Night, a new family, and a new history to build. And he would do so by holding his shield steady in the face of the Night and protecting his new flock. Thank you for joining us for the story of the Guardian, the Eagle Man who lost everything and found a new home and people amongst his fellow Nightfarers. Do you think the Guardian made the right choice in killing the merchant? Do you believe the Recluse is responsible for the death of the old flock? Or does the blame lay with those who manipulated her magic? Will the new flock persist beyond the ending of the night? Let us know your thoughts in the comments. Watch that button light up as I say like this video, and if you think we've earned it, please subscribe and hit the bell so you never miss out on any of our lore dives. We look forward to seeing you again for more Elden lore. Most of the Nightfarers reach the Round Table Hold having lost something of themselves. Memories become clouded. The truth of who they are and why they've come to this place can be obscured by the night. Those with something to consistently remind them have an easier time staying on track, like the Iron Eye with his letters from Isolde, or the Raider with the White Horn's armor. But this is not the case for everyone. The Revenant recalls little to nothing of her past until she actively explores it, and both the Wylder and Duchess lose their familial bonds until something jogs their memories. This is all to say there is one Nightfarer who retains more than any other. She has intimate knowledge of the night itself, as well as dark magics she conjured long ago. The Recluse seems to retain more of her past than any other Nightfarer, and it may just be because the night would not exist without her. Though my fellows call me by the name of Recluse, mine origin is one of many, a witch of the deep woods. From mine seclusion amongst the trees, cause did I have to journey forth to Limveld, for I had mind to search for a certain something coiled in shadow. The Recluse hails from the deep woods, where a coven of witches learns the ways of magic. If we've played the Wylder's questline, we know that the cutting-gifted tribe bestowed branches to the deep woods, most likely meaning they propagated their people there in order to help avert the night they foretold. This is one reason why the Recluse would feel a pull toward the Round Table Hold. However, she has a clear purpose in mind outside the destruction of the Night Lord, and her journal is not shy about sharing what that purpose is. I search for, yes, my beloved infant. If I am to find it, I must recognize the signs that shall point the way. First, I aim to approach the menial. The beloved infant, the being that I, as a witch, birthed. It was never a true name bequeathed, though with a certain mirth we spoke of it as the Gnawling. Following a trail of ancient magic, its whereabouts are approximately known. It remaineth somewhere in Limveld, I am sure. I seek a shard of night, that the babe's connection to the night might be ascertained. This beloved infant is the reason the Recluse is here, and her quest is built around finding that which she once lost. To that end, she speaks with the Iron Menial, sharing just enough information so as to elicit his aid, without telling him the whole truth of her knowledge or intentions.
Champion, if I may, it is no easy topic to broach, but you seem to show little enthusiasm for slaying the Night Lord. You are difficult to read, to say the least. One might think you were planning an indiscretion. Most likely my imagination at play, but it nags at me, nevertheless. And so, there is something I wish to ask of you. I would like you to go and vanquish some enemies, ones tainted by night, and be sure to bring evidence of the deed. If you wouldn't mind, of course.
The menial seems to think that the Recluse is planning some kind of betrayal, as she shows no enthusiasm for defeating the Night Lord. The task given to her is not an easy one, as enemies infected by the night are indeed powerful. But she's able to defeat one nevertheless and obtain a night shard. A crystallized form of the power of night. Though translucent, there is a shadow-like patterning, seemingly the traces of something eating away at it. The reach of the night is limitless, its potential immeasurable, its touch indiscriminate, affecting any and all things. Whether one fears the night or welcomes it depends upon the manner of contact. The breath of the night rises and falls within this shard, ready to answer that which seeks to touch it. This is an interesting description of an item related to the night, as there seems to be an indication that the night does not act out of malevolence, it simply is. After bringing the shard back to the Iron Menial, she seems to have gained his trust.
You've returned. Were you successful? Ah, yes, I see. That's settled then. Thank you for cooperating. There is no question that you are sincerely allied with us in our common cause. My apologies for doubting you. If by your generosity I might resume my... No, I will redouble my efforts to be of service to you. By all means, don't hesitate to set me to any task. Please, tell me how to help. You're looking for someone close to you. Yes, of course, I will assist in whatever capacity I am able. What shall I do first? Oh, I had no idea this would help guide our search. I'll look after it for you. Had you foreseen this all along? You have humbled me. I shall begin forthwith, though I warn you, it may take some time.
The Recluse seems comfortable sharing her goal with her new doll-like companion, and in doing so, he sees that she planned for this outcome from the beginning. He will need time to bring her any information as it relates to the Shard of Night, which gives the Recluse a moment to reflect. While I await the outcome of the menial's investigation, my thoughts turn to an old companion, now past, for my search, in some ways, is an atonement for what happened to her. The Witch of the Wheel, an old friend who has learned in the same ways as I. She was, in a sense, the infant's nurse. The gnawling would eat anything and everything in quantities most vast. As such, I left its feeding to mine old companion. The Witch of the Wheel was a woman of deceit. Her wiles were sword and shield to her. So it would seem this old friend has long since perished and had a connection to the child the Recluse is looking for. However, she does not have too much time to ruminate on these musings, as the Iron Menial is quick to share what he has learned. The menial left a note. His investigation seemeth to have borne fruit. From the Night Shard, vestiges of the infant can be traced. I shall ask for the shard's return, that I might verify this myself, The menial appears to be a carved mannequin-like creature, hath taken to aiding me in my search. Perhaps I have tasked him overmuch. I have seen him converse passing little with the other warriors of late. His presence seemeth to recede at the round table. From here she speaks with the menial, and he shares all he has learned.
I have come to an understanding regarding the Shards of Night. It was written of in an old document from a faraway land. In a dispute between two realms, there was a beast at the center of the affair, which devoured soldier after soldier. No one saw the beast itself, but it left a mountain of corpses in its wake. An old man-at-arms is quoted as saying, "It feasted on our shadows, even those of the dead." Rather chilling, wouldn't you say? The tooth marks of the creature resemble the patterns seen on the shards. There very well may be a link to the Night Lord. How are you faring today, champion? Brave champion. Perhaps you should take it. How are you faring today, champion? My only hope was that I might play some role in fulfilling the Round Table's destiny, and it is you who made it possible. Thank you.
After taking back the shard, the Recluse is able to feel a pulse from within. This pulse led her to a bed where the cries of her child could be heard, and she received the vestige of the night.
Brave champion. There you are. You must tell me, what was the engraving? I see. There's some manner of incantation. I shall look into the matter. A moment, please.
A clear sign of the Night Lord's presence, in the form of a terribly tattered rag, burned and worn down over a span of time untold. The hint of an impression once made by the engraving of an old sealing stone can be seen, but is no longer legible. The menial asked about an engraving, but how did he know there was one before setting eyes upon it? The Iron Menial has been acting strangely, but that was a problem for another time. The Recluse needed to record her findings on the vestige. Using the Night Shard, I found a vestige connected to the infant. Here is all I have learned thus far. The vestige of night. Teeth marks found in the Night Shard, alongside the vestige of night found embedded in the Round Table hold. Both seem to radiate an ancient magic which I myself imbued. I am certain, after mine infant disappeared itself that day, it must have had an audience with the Night Lord. It ravened as if its appetite knew no bound. It would devour shadows of any stripe. The Night Lord's own shade surely seemed irresistible to it. What must have become of my creature after it did feast? I sensed another familiar magic within the vestige of night. I believe now that mine old companion is the key to finding the infant, the Witch of the Wheel, who should be long departed. Using the clues I have gathered, I must seek her in her hiding place within the Round Table. The demise of the Witch of the Wheel. During a great clash of armies, the infant overran the enemy, devouring their shadows. It was then that it lost itself and bared its fangs at us. With time, I have come to understand it was yet young and afraid, and I did not think to take it in my arms, to offer comfort of any kind. The price I paid was the loss of an old friend. I still remember, clear as day, her remains, shorn of any shadow. The Recluse has deduced that the Witch of the Wheel must still live, and be hiding somewhere within the Round Table, as her magics have touched this vestige. But more interestingly, I believe these writings of the Recluse reveal much about her character. Throughout the journeys of our other Nightfarers, The Recluse takes on a matronly role. She is a fount of knowledge for the Wylder and the Guardian, helping the Wylder discover ancient rites that may hold the power to save his sister, and acting as the Guardian's teacher, so that he might uncover the truth about the power that destroyed his people. At great risk to herself, she shares the truth with the Guardian, that this horrible magic came from her, and while her intention was never to harm, she takes responsibility for the damage it has done. She also helps the Revenant discover her past, so that she might better steel herself for the battle ahead, stave off the infection of the night, and have confidence in who she truly is. The Recluse is deeply remorseful for how she abdicated her duties as a mother for the child she birthed through her magic rites, and expresses that sorrow through kindness and care for those around her. This Witch of the Woods is traveling a path to redemption, dark though it may be, and is dedicated to assisting those around her reach the end of their paths as well. Now, knowing that her sister of the woods is somehow alive, she seeks her out. Perhaps the menial's odd behavior has something to do with her return.
Even the hallowed sparring grounds require a little sprucing up from time to time. I'm pleased to see that everyone's making use of them. Even the hallowed sparring grounds require a little sprucing up from time to time. I'm pleased to see that everyone's making use of them. Please, desist. What is the matter, kind champion?
What gave me away? It hath been long indeed, fellow spellcaster. How pleasant it is to see thy feathers ruffled for a change. Understandable, though, as thou sawest me battle-slain and buried. The Night Lords saw fit to return me to life. Now, we're reunited. Perhaps we ought take this chance to speak. Pray speak thy mind. Rememberest thou not? The monster to which thou gavest rise, the devourer of shadow, the weapon unleashed by thee upon the world entire. I was subsumed by the infant, but clung to life in this form, granted now the chance to act upon mine own desires. As events conspired, neither of us should have survived. Yet thou still drawest breath. While I? Why? In what measure did I not stand equal to thee? Yet, unlike thee, ever heedless, free of spirit, I am the one who will succeed. I hope thou takest my meaning, fellow spellcaster. Cease thy foolish conduct, following in the Night Lord's very steps. Indeed. How should I put this? Canst thou thine own child slay?
The Witch of the Wheel walks amongst the Nightfarers, and she is convinced the Recluse is trying to slay the child they brought into the world together. She now works for the Night Lord, who has granted her life, and wishes to protect him. All this is of little concern to the Recluse, as she knows her true goal. She simply wishes to know what her sister has done with the Iron Menial.
If thou seekest the mechanical menial, I merely needed his momentary silence. Take a good look inside the mausoleum.
Oh. Where am I? Brave Lady Witch? Why on earth? How could you have done such a thing? Oh, my apologies. I see precisely what has happened here. It wasn't you, but a foul impostor who did this to me. What in heaven's name is going on? What in heaven's name is going on? She's an old friend, is she? Now, as you tell it, the Night Lord grew from a shadow hatchling. If that is true, then there may indeed be some degree of culpability. But can we unquestioningly assume that a single enchanted organism could mature so fantastically? I must say, I doubt that it could be so simple. Furthermore, defeating the Knight will put an end to your sister-in-arms. I haven't the faintest what I could say should you be forced to witness your companion's death again.
The menial understands that the Recluse is somewhat responsible for the Knight through the child she brought into the world, but he believes that cannot be the whole truth. Something else must have happened to bring about the Knight. Something involving the child, but not the child in and of itself. It seems the menial is not quite done looking for answers, and wants to thank the Recluse for helping him.
Where are my manners? I must offer you my thanks for helping me. Oh, what's this? Brave champion. Perhaps you should take it. While unconscious, I had a dream. I was handed this by the Night Lord. Well, I didn't see our foe per se, but I know it to be true. I sense a great power within. Power enough to change a person's fate, I do believe. The choice is yours, brave champion.
The child with the Night Lord bequeathed me the last thing I needed in my search. Bone-like shard. The infant's voice can be heard when softly touching the stone. Please, have patience. I shall come for thee, I swear. This bone-like shard was bestowed upon the menial by the Night Lord himself, and its description raises many questions. A disturbing stone with a distinct lifelessness. The bone of an outer god with the power to expunge divine essence, but that can also be destroyed by the same essence. The choice was left to the witch, as per the wishes of the one who bestowed it. There is a theory about this shard I believe needs to be addressed at this point. I'm not sure if this is where it originated, but there is a Reddit thread by Tuspin that shows the bone-like shard and the ground of the arena in which we fight the Night Lords together, and there are very clear parallels. If this bone-like shard is truly the bone of an outer god, this could mean the entire arena we fight on when facing the Night Lords is either its corpse or its physical form manifested. The infant is thought to have been born from a ritual that reached out to the outer god of night, and the Knight of the Lord relic tells us how Wylder became the Night Lord. The knight belonging to Wylder left upon its defeat. The country lay in ruin. The man who once was knight had challenged the hero, but he too was no match. He fell, just another body in a great pile. But eventually he awoke, crawling out from underneath the others. Though he had failed to protect anything or anyone, he yet lived. And so he cursed the world. It was the dead of night, and from the sky poured down a great rain. Perhaps this battle with a hero was merely a backdrop to a larger battle, one in which the gnawling lost control, just as the Recluse remembered. That night, she fled rather than give comfort to her child born of night, and so it found Wylder, the sole survivor of this massacre. And in finding a companion in sorrow, it bound itself to him, giving him power and calling the night. In doing so, the outer god was bound to the lands between, and the rain began to pour. This would mean that the outer god of night is trapped in Limfeld, in a nexus between. If anyone knows where the theory regarding the bone-like shard and the arena originated, please let me know in the comments, and I will properly credit in the description. With this final piece of the puzzle in place for the Recluse, she knows that her infant lies beyond where she can reach it. The only way to save the child and undo the wrong she had done would be to face Wylder and reach the round table beyond the night. She fights alongside her fellow Nightfarers, her newfound family, that she's taken so much responsibility for, and defeats the Night Lord, granting her access to exactly where she needs to be. She need only follow the cries to finally embrace her child. With this, the Recluse's goal has been achieved. She was finally able to hold the gnawling in her arms, and upon returning to the Round Table, she knows the Witch of the Wheel waits for her.
My fellow spellcaster, I thank thee for bestowing thy love upon our knight.
I thank thee for bestowing thy love upon our knight. Thus did mine old companion speak to me in parting. The words resounded within, as I took the infant in mine arms, as I did what I once could not, all those years ago. The crying hath now ceased. The gentle night within its breath knoweth now a peaceful slumber. I can't say for sure whether the embrace of the Recluse put her child at ease and allowed the night to slumber once more, or if the acceptance of her love somehow killed it. This is left ambiguous, and I believe that was intentional. However, in the end, reaching the child and finally showing it the love she never could due to her fears of its overwhelming power is certainly, in my opinion, one of the better endings to Elden Ring Nightreign. In fact, I believe that while there can be multiple endings to the story of Nightreign, the Recluse's acceptance of her child is a necessary piece in truly ending the night. The child and Heolster were bound to each other, and I don't believe it makes sense for the primordial Night Lord's rune to truly banish the night if the issue with the child is not resolved. So this is the Recluse's place in the story of Elden Ring Nightreign, a mother set to resolve her mistakes and provide comfort to the child she abandoned long ago, and in doing so, setting right the dark world she had a hand in creating. Thank you for joining me as I explored the story of the Recluse and her place in the lore of Elden Ring Nightreign. Do you believe the Recluse truly cared for her fellow Nightfarers, or did she see them as a means to an end, so that she could achieve her goals? How long was the Witch of the Wheel pretending to be the Iron Menial, and does this time overlap with any other Nightfarers' quests? What exactly is the child the Recluse summoned that feasted on shadows? Let us know your thoughts and theories in the comments. Watch that button light up as I say like this video, and if you think we've earned it, please subscribe and hit the bell so you never miss out on any of our lore dives. We look forward to seeing you again for more Elden lore. We've taken a close look at the stories and implied lore of every Nightfarer we currently have available to us in Elden Ring Nightreign, all except one. The Executor is a deeply interesting character who doesn't speak a word to any of the other Nightfarers, instead choosing to continue working on his painting of the Erd Tree between expeditions to Limveld. His story can be confusing and often obtuse, because many of his journal entries are not truly his own. There's a general consensus that this character is either an amalgamation of the two characters within his Remembrance, or the very crucible knight we see when looking at visions of his past, but I believe another option should be entertained. I think the Executor is simply that, a person carrying out the will of someone else, two people, whose souls are trapped within the cursed sword that took both of their lives, and I'll do my best to prove my theory through what little information has been given to us. The Executor is said to be a condemned soul with a body fused with pieces of armor who went missing after a prison stint in the lands between. He brandishes a cursed blade and savors every battle. So from the start we know that this character is familiar with the lands between in a way many other Nightfarers are not, having spent time there before reaching the Round Table Hold and starting his fight against the Night. His blade is cursed, and I think we can safely assume that curse has something to do with the armor fused to his body. If we look at the description of the sword, we can start to understand why it may be cursed. A single-edged katana with a long, sharp, curved blade. A unique weapon wielded by the samurai from the Land of Reeds. The Executor found the sword abandoned in the aftermath of a battle, and has wielded it ever since, stained with gold and rusted blood. The blade has a violent history, somehow linked to gold, which is certainly enough to explain a curse, but we'll get into more detail here later. An important note from this description is that when it says a unique weapon wielded by the samurai of the Land of Reeds, it's not necessarily saying the Executor himself is from the Land of Reeds. Rather, these katanas, in general, tend to be wielded by those who hail from the Land of Reeds. With all this in mind, the Executor must have found his way out of prison in the Lands Between, taking his blade along with him, and found his way to the Round Table Hold. The journal entries of the Executor are more like poems, musing on a past that the samurai himself may not understand. They provide insight into what came before, and paint a story in pieces that can be used to learn a hidden truth. Mine flesh, partially plated, mine hand, with brush. A window into oneself. Brushstrokes outline these fragments of memory. The Erd Tree. I am an artist, from the distant Land of Reeds, washed up on the shore, inspired by what I saw. But the piece is incomplete. Something is missing. That missing piece does not elude the Executor for long, as his first true mission as a Nightfarer will jog his memory. Sometime after reaching the hold, the Executor found himself staring at a depiction of the Erd Tree, and was approached by the Guardian, who shared his interest in this beautiful portrait.
May I ask you something? I heard that in the Lands Between, there was once a thing of wonder known as the Erd Tree. The monolithic tree was said to be a symbol of the land's blessings. Did you ever see it for yourself? What a sight it must have been. The vastness of nature is apt to stir something within. No wonder you were so enamored by it. I must say, where we are headed, there shall be no such tree. But if we can repulse the night, it may yet be restored. Oh, I should mention, the priestess was looking for you. Perhaps she wants a word.
The Erd Tree is no more in the Lands Between, and it's heavily implied here that that's due to the night suppressing its power, as the Guardian believes the destruction of it will bring the Erd Tree back. Of course, if we finish Nightreign with the standard ending, we see this to be true. But even so, traces of the Erd Tree's power still exist in the Round Table, as we can see grace for ourselves when standing in the main area. This grace is tied to the lifeblood of the table itself, and is tended to by the priestess. At the direction of the Guardian, the Executor goes to speak with her and learn her request.
There you are. There is a task I would like you to perform. Would you be so kind as to find me some flowers? Since you're familiar with the old Golden Realm and have an eye for beauty, I'm sure you can locate some which positively brim with grace. If you wouldn't mind, of course.
These flowers are suffused with grace, and not easily found in a land that has had such power suppressed. In fact, the only blessed flowers the Executor is able to locate are being defended by a stray bloodhound knight, and the easiest way to fight him is to meet their bestial intensity with his own. Upon picking the flowers for the priestess, we can learn more about them. Altus flowers flush with nutrients and grace. Before, such flowers were commonplace on the Altus Plateau. The vibrant hues suggest that the flowers receive plenty of sunlight and appear to shine in an ode to the resplendent Erd Tree. These flowers being native to the Altus Plateau is interesting, since all that is left of the Lands Between seems to have folded in on itself. There is no plateau anymore. There is no Lanedell. There is only Limveld. Upon bringing the flowers back to the priestess, he learns they were actually meant for the Iron Menial, so he dutifully bestows them on his animated companion.
Oh, if it isn't our brave champion. Look here, my pride and joy, now in full bloom. Life finds purchase, even here. Just gazing at them gives me a measure of peace. Oh, what's that you have there? This flower simply radiates warmth. Thank you very much. I was just thinking we could do with a bit more color around here. This is just perfect. Brave champion, how would you like to preserve this scene upon a canvas? The bloom is just upon us, after all.
What's done is done. The Earth Tree is no more. What is lost can never return.
The Executor does as the menial asks and paints the bloom of the blessed flowers, and in doing so, we hear his voice from inside his head for the first time. A deep voice, devoid of the kind of accent you would expect from a samurai of the land of reeds. He's convinced that the Earth Tree will never bloom again, but still he paints, and again, writes. Flowers. An embracing warmth from the flowers, the same flowers that grew in my painter's shed. I am an artist, painting the Earth Tree. I am a guest, bearing a sword. I am silent. I am a witness. The guest. I am a guest, or perhaps an executioner. The guest speaks. I will wait until your Earth Tree is complete. Old friend. The Earth Tree was still incomplete, and so I drew a sketch in solace of an old friend from the land of reeds, who speaks not a word. I will entrust it to my guest. I cannot complete the Earth Tree before another executioner arrives in the first one's stead. The Crucible Night. A portrait of my guest, or perhaps my executioner. A crucible holds a composite. My guest could not bear to render a judgment. Here at the painter's shed, overlooking the Earth Tree, until the very end. These journal entries are written as if the Executor is in a dreamlike state. He's explaining the stories of his paintings through musings of the past. He was a painter washed up on the shore of the lands between. He carried with him his blade, an old friend, but he preferred to focus on his painting. The guest in his humble shack was a crucible knight, who allowed him the time to complete his portrait of the Earth Tree. But something blossomed there. A friendship? A romance? He trusted this guest with his blade, brought from the land of reeds. But what happened next? And how did it lead to the Executor being locked away in a prison, until somehow escaping and making his way to the Round Table Hold? The past was still too hazy, but that would have to wait, as the priestess needed his help again. It would seem that the golden light of the Round Table was starting to flicker. The night had come for the light of grace that held up the table and supported the Nightfarers on their quest, and there was only one way to preserve this precious resource: a golden seed of the Earth Tree.
Surely you can see it. The light is fading fast. It won't be long now. We have no choice but to augment what little grace we enjoy, and your memories will be the key. I heard the voice. A golden seed has begun to sprout in a harsh land of frigid cold, where no one sets foot. It's calling to you. This might be selfish, but please, imagine if we're successful this time. Would you lend me your strength once more?
The priestess had located one high on the mountain that would come and go from Limveld, and she enlisted the help of the Executor to find it. Who better to recognize a seed of the sacred tree than a warrior who had seen its majesty with his own eyes? This was a mission the Executor would not, and could not, refuse. As he braved the cold of the mountains, he reached the sapling that would give him the seed. But as he reached out for it, an avatar of the Earth Tree attacked. Long ago, these avatars protected the young Erdtrees that would fail to grow to their full potential. An important job to preserve grace. But if there was a chance the Erdtree could be brought back, that its golden light could one day shine on this land again, the Executor needed to fell this guardian and bring the seed back to the priestess.
I knew you'd soon return. I can feel the warmth of its radiance. Please, this time it has to work.
Behold its majesty. It never fails to move me. Peer upon it from afar. Be satisfied with what you have. I will curtail the threat that awaits us. And let any who dare disturb such peace face my blade.
Upon handing the priestess the seed, something happened. The light of grace filled the round table, and the Executor was transported somewhere. Before him, he saw the Erdtree, and he saw himself. This version of himself is bathed in darkness and ready to do battle. It beckons him to lay down his arms, take solace in the ignorance that is the hole in his memories. It's almost as if the Shadow Executor is protecting him from himself. But the truth never stays buried long. This warrior takes his cursed blade in hand and fights to reclaim himself, to fill the hole left behind by whatever memory is being kept away from him. And upon his defeat, the Dark Executor urges him to live without averting his gaze, to truly take in the truth of what he is and what was done. After awakening from within himself, the Executor listens to the priestess's words.
We've reclaimed the light of grace. We owe this to you. Thank you, truly. But what's this wound? From your memories. I vow, as priestess, that the Erdtree will live again. It shall be as you remember. So please, do not lose sight of yourself.
The wound that appears in the Executor's stomach implies that he himself was the Crucible Knight that became a guest at the painter's shack, the one who stabbed himself, committing seppuku after his failure to defend the painter. But this creates a number of inconsistencies. The Executor's journals are written as if he is the painter, but the painter was clearly a maiden. If he was the Crucible Knight, how did he survive stabbing himself through the gut? Why does he wish to finish the painting, and how does he have the skill to do so? The final entry in his journal sheds some light on these questions. The Executor. 2 faces, 1 sword. Such is my nature, a soul drenched in blood, yet willing to face the night. and perhaps when the night has passed, I will complete the Erdtree. Two faces, one sword could be taken literally. The Executor may be two people, the Knight and the Painter, somehow fused together in death. By stabbing himself with the Painter's weapon, perhaps he infused the soul of the Painter into his own body, making it one with the crucible within him, and took on this new form. He would awaken in the shack, finding the now cursed and abandoned blade, and given that he no longer looked anything like a Crucible Knight, he would be blamed for the corpse of one of his order laid outside the shack. This is how he ended up in prison in the Lands Between, for committing the murder of a Crucible Knight, something he likely saw as a false claim, not truly understanding his own nature. However, this is just one explanation of who the Executor is, and I believe a conversation with the Iron Menial after finishing his quest could lead to an entirely different conclusion.
Champion, have you noticed? The blade you wear upon your hip is not the same as it once was. Not in outward appearance, but in its very being. I wonder why I feel so strongly this must be true. Perhaps it is because I too reside in a frame inanimate.
Perhaps the Executor himself is not an amalgamation of the Crucible Knight and the Painter, but simply someone taken over by a curse. His blade is said to be cursed, and if you compare it to the weapon wielded by the Crucible Knight in the memory, you don't see much in the way of similarities. I would like to present the idea that the sword itself is the fusion of the Crucible Knight and the Painter, and that the Executor is simply an unlucky soul who found the blade after the tragedy at the shack. The words "found the sword" are the description used for how he acquired it. So perhaps the Executor is neither of these characters, but simply a vessel for the sword's will and memories, cursed by the blade to act as its steward. After all, an Executor is a person who follows the last will of someone who has died. Perhaps the Executor himself was a random passerby who found the shack and the blade, and after picking it up, he became infused with the power of the Crucible, its armor binding to his flesh. With this explanation as well, we'd have good reason for him to end up imprisoned, this time for the murder of 3 people instead of 1. The Iron Menial senses something different about the blade. It's been put to rest, essentially, its whole story finally known. The Executor understands the full extent of his duties to the Round Table, and to the cursed weapon he wields. He now knows why he fights, why he wields the power of the Crucible, and how it's all linked to his sword and its past. The only piece of the puzzle that doesn't fit as well as our other interpretation is the stomach gash that is found on his Remembrance skin. But let's think on that. If the power of the Crucible is what covers him in this armor, and that power is tied to the blade that now houses the souls of those it has killed, then it would make sense that upon learning the truth of things and understanding the past, this wound would appear in the armor itself. Also, we don't want to take every Remembrance skin literally. Some of these skins tie directly to the stories of the Nightfarers, and could make sense logistically, but others don't. The Recluse's alternate skin is her sister, the Witch of the Wheel, so we can't say that skin is how the Recluse would look at the end of her story. The same can be said for the Revenant, whose skin is a representation of how she looked long ago, rather than at the end of her quest. As a final call out here, the remembered skin of the Iron Eye makes no sense in the main story, as it's a depiction of the character should we choose to follow his ending. So with this in mind, we can't base an argument over a character's origins on their Remembrance skin. While this could make sense for some, it can't be applied to everyone, which invites doubt as to their validity. I like the fact that in Nightreign, a game with a significantly more linear story, there are still the classic FromSoft open-ended questions that allow us to theorycraft and question the most obvious answers. Maybe the Executor really was once a Crucible Knight who fell in love with a painter from the Land of Reeds, fusing their bodies by plunging her blade deep into his own, creating a completely new person. However, I think a strong case can also be made for the souls of these two being housed within the cursed blade itself, which controls the host, so that their past can be reckoned with and the Erdtree can be restored. While all Crucible Knights are able to utilize aspects of the Crucible in battle, it seems as though the Executor can plumb the depths of this power and fully change his form into a full-blown Crucible beast, something that I believe is only possible due to the Cursed Blade. In the end, something about the blade itself changes. Its emotions can be felt by the Iron Menial, and the sword seems at peace after the Executor truly understands the past. Whether the Executor is an amalgam of two beings, fused into one through the power of the Crucible, or if he is simply a patsy to the blade, he can finally, truly embody his role and fulfill the last will and testament of these tragic friends, the restoration of the Erd Tree, and the completion of the portrait. Thank you for listening to my thoughts and theories on the Executor, the most mysterious Nightfarer, and the last one whose story has been told on the channel. Do you think the Executor is a being of the Crucible, created from the souls of two other people? Was the Executor simply in the wrong place at the wrong time, and the Cursed Blade took him for its own? Does the Priestess understand his true nature, and will the portrait of the Erd Tree ever truly be finished? Let us know what you think in the comments. Watch that button light up as I say like this video, and if you think we've earned it, please subscribe and hit the bell so you never miss out on any of our lore dives. We look forward to seeing you again for more Elden lore.